Hello.
There we go.
That's cool.
And then you got rid of two
What,
on the crown, or like on your. Yeah, it was exit out of it.
like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's it.
good.
Okay,
And then, yeah, it'll just, you can disable the live using the same three dots at the end, and then if you also just end the meeting, it'll disable the live, but if you ever need to get into periods throughout the meeting where, you know, you're not having like the hearings, just make sure you turn off the camera and turn off the mic.
Okay.
All right, cool. Sound good. Do you need anything else or?
it should be good.
Okay. Thanks, Camden.
Jordan, okay,
Yeah.
here's the lowdown on how this works. I'm gonna have to flip the laptop around so that it can see the room on the live stream, okay? So the way that, I'm gonna put it into PowerPoint mode, okay, like the presentation, you click the trackpad, right, and that advances the slide, but if you go, you can't go back. You
Okay.
can only go forward. So, and if you do accidentally need to go back, you just exit out and scroll in this window. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, awesome. Flip this around. You can get a little brief introduction. Oh, no.
We don't. We, you can go in and not into the flags and. You don't have to say it's not. Just keep it same.
There you go. Okay.
Cool.
Welcome, everybody. I apologize for the delay. I think we got all the technical hiccups worked out. The great thing about running these meetings is that something always goes wrong. It's a wonderful exercise in problem solving. Thank you all so much for coming today. This is day 2 of our fee review hearings for the fiscal year of 2024, as you all know. There are members of the public in the audience, and I would like to remind you all, gently remind you all that we are going to give our presenter the full floor for the length of their presentation, and we'll begin questioning only after the presentation has ended, barring some unforeseen clarification that would be germane during the presentation, but let's not worry about it for now. Questioning order will be governed by Robert's Rules of Parliamentary Procedure. I will be standing at the front with sitting at the front with a gavel and a microphone that I will be passing to you. Reminder that members of the committee will receive preference in the questioning order to members of the public. That is all I have for you. Please welcome the Office of Multicultural Affairs.
Okay. Hello, can everyone hear me? All right, so my name is Jordan Brandt. I am the Director of the Office of Multicultural Affairs. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the things you probably actually care about, we're just going to do an overview of the staff and the office and the services that we provide, and then do some breakdowns. So currently in the Office of Multicultural Affairs, we have myself serving as the director. We have 1 assistant director, and we have 3 undergraduate students working in our space. Okay. So the mission of our office is that we provide social justice education for our students to critically examine the intersections of identity, accessibility, equity, and how that relates to impact. In addition to that, we do programming that centers joy, liberation, that really centers students on the margins. Through engaging with our programs, these are our office learning outcomes that we really want students, that we hope students gain through consistent participation in our different services and programs. And I will read those. So we want students to be able to apply an intersectional framework in developing their holistic self, be able to explain the relationship between systemic oppression and the forms of inequality. We want them to use social justice and liberation conversations to really challenge the barriers that are affecting students on the margins. We want folks to be able to communicate effectively with other students about social justice and liberation. We want students to be able to demonstrate the skill set necessary for building healthy and affirming communities, as well as recognize campus and community resources for achieving personal, academic, and wellness goals. So where are we now? So I'll start with our office. Part of what we do is we do different programming that centers diversity, equity, inclusion specifically. So some of our programs, they go from the block party, fish fry. We have mocktail series where we host identity-based faculty and staff councils to be able to engage with students who also identify within that identity. Because a lot of times our students are not seeing themselves represented in the classroom. So we provide that space for them. We do like a Women in Films of Color retreat. We host spotlight series for our graduate students to be able to present on research and also accrue honorariums for doing so. We do liberation conversations where we bring in speakers from the outside to talk about liberation, Heritage Month events. And one thing that I do want to point out is that we administered a survey in spring of 2021 for KU undergraduate and graduate students to complete. And based off their survey responses, that is what guides our programming in our space. And if you all need more details, I'll be happy to pull up those survey responses to share the top 5 categories that our students indicated that they wanted to see from our office. In addition to providing programming, we also do equity-based training. We offer it in a 3-level series. The first series is what we're really focused on right now, which is our bare minimum training. That training is led by a full-time staff member, and currently because we have no graduate students in our space at the moment working, one of our undergraduate students also co-facilitate those trainings for KU undergraduate and graduate students across campus. So impact, since receiving the increase for this year, what we've seen within our office, so we've engaged from August to January, we've engaged 1,353 students with our programming. And this is compared to the 627 student, staff, and faculty that we engaged at this same time last year. So we've seen an increase there. We've trained 1,247 students with our bare minimum training, and this is compared to 47 students at the same time last year. We have had 204 room reservations, 90% being student organizations, compared to 90 reservations in our space from last year, which at that point, it was only 80% student organizations. So for those who may not know, our building, we have a classroom, we have a library, we have a conference room. Students are able to reserve the space free of charge Monday through Friday to host events, programs, etc. We've increased our peer educator, which is our undergraduate students' hourly pay from $10 an hour to $12 an hour. We've increased our graduate assistant pay to $15 an hour, and we've added an additional graduate assistant position in our office. So now we have the ability to, we have 2 graduate assistant positions that we are hiring for this semester. We co-sponsored a graduate fellow from Afghanistan. And we've implemented new program services and sponsorships. And I really want to point out the sponsorship piece, some of which have been Indigenous People Day celebration. We've helped student orgs with Heritage Months. Last semester, we're currently helping some of our Black student organizations with their Black History Month celebration. So being able to provide financial sponsorships to our different student organizations or large scale programs like the Indigenous People Day celebration and upcoming powwow that will feature a lot of students. Okay. So looking ahead, we are requesting a flat fee. And in doing so, it would allow us to not have to ask for a fee increase until FY26. Ways in which we will be utilizing our carry forward is staffing. So as you all seen, we currently only have myself and assistant director. We have a vacant program coordinator position, our 2 vacant graduate assistant positions. So that's the carry forward for staffing. For that piece, programming. So we've implemented new programs this academic year with the increase. So one of our welcome week new events was the fish fry that we hosted the Friday before classes started. for Women's History Month. We are now hosting 2. Women's Luncheon is allowed us to expand our capacity for how many students we can serve for our programs. So continuing to implement new programs at the recommendation of either our student employees, they provide a lot of recommendations, and or other students as they provide feedback to us. And then like the student organization sponsorships will also be a way in which we continue to collaborate and allocate funds for those who need it.
I didn't know if you were mentioning.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
here we are.
Okay, questions in the room? We'll get an order going, just like that. Cool.
That was a really great presentation, and I just had a couple questions. So
Mhm.
I saw that you raised the undergraduate, the peer educator wages to $12, but the graduate student, like GA wages are at $15, which I know my role as graduate student body president, so I know across campus, we have a really big disparity between what graduate assistants are paid versus unionized PTAs.
Mhm.
And that's like a $7 per hour difference. And right now, obviously, we are in a time where there's inflation, and that $15 today is not what it used to be. And so I guess my question for you is, if we kept you flat, and I know you said it would stay, you'd be able to keep going until 2026. How would you be able to incorporate, or would you even be able to incorporate increasing those wages for the graduate assistants? Because that's heavily underpaid for a graduate student.
Yeah, so I'm also a graduate student,
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, so I'm aware. So one of the things is that we work with the ELPS department, which is the Educational Leadership and Policy Studies Department. Yep. So in providing benefits such as conference, so we provide professional development funds for our graduate students to be able to attend a conference to offset some of the wages in which some of the discrepancy and gaps in wages. Additionally, because of like the in-state tuition pieces and all of that. So to answer your question, would we be able to see an increased graduate assistant pay? Yes, and right, the other piece is that on our campus, we actually don't do a good job of sharing what graduate students are making across the board, right? So I increased from what we had in the past that we were paying graduate students in our space, but I don't have records to compare that to how other spaces are paying their graduate assistants. So I think one of the barriers in being able to make sure that our graduate students are not being underpaid is that we're sharing that information publicly
Yes.
across campus. But yes, to answer your question of being able to increase. Mhm.
Additional questions?
Yeah, so you said that you've had 1,353 students engaged with the programming.
Mhm.
Is that a lower number than total students that have been like using it over the course of the semester?
What you said, is that a lower number than the number?
Is that like roughly equal to the number of students that have used it? Because you said there are 204 room reservations, and I'm assuming those are like relatively large groups. Are those 1,353 students counted as part of those 204 room reservations, or interactions with the program?
That's interactions with programs. So we don't calculate the number of attendees who, so like when student orgs host their event in our space, we don't take attendance at their events, though that number is only for students who've engaged on a specific events.
And then on a weekly basis, how many reservations would you say we have by students?
To give you the exact
Just a rough
amount,
estimate.
it's hard to say, but what I can tell you that from 4 to 8 p.m. every Monday through Thursday, there's no room reservations left, and it varies. So it's really hard for me to give you that
I think that's good.
answer. Yeah.
Thanks.
Hi, so I was just wondering, so it seems you serve about like 2,500 students total through interactions with the OMA. So I was wondering, could you give like a rough estimate of what percentage of the student body you serve?
So I want to be frank about what we talk about, like engage the OMA, right? Because there are students who come to our space who ask a question of myself or the staff member that we don't count those interactions, right? This number is specific to our specific like formal structural programs. So I want to make that clear, is that students come in and out. Some students just come in and study and may not even talk to us, and we're not necessarily counting all of those times that students are coming into the space. But to your point of what percentage of KU student body that we serve, it's challenging to say, right? Like, if we know that we have 7,000 students of color on Lawrence campus, and that includes our international students, right? However, our space is not just for students of color. So we are engaging students in our space, but also when we're interacting and tabling on Wesco Beach or in the Kansas Union. I will say that our space is vital as we talk about how we have the most diverse class that we've seen in history at KU's campus, and what does that mean for the support and services that we need to provide. But I don't want to give you a percentage that is uninformed.
Thank you.
What percentage of your total revenue is coming from this?
Huh? Oh, 100%. Mhm.
And you mentioned that you take feedback on your services and you have some extra slides on.
Yeah, I have a survey.
Okay.
Yeah. I have the responses pulled up on my phone. Yeah, I have a survey.
I have a question about, I guess I'm sort of getting at the sustainability of your annual spending.
Mhm.
Noticing on the simulation file, you're running a deficit of about $40,000 a year. Can you talk me through your reasoning behind that, what you're trying to accomplish with, winding down your reserves so aggressively?
Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, wonderful. In the simulation files, I'm seeing that your fiscal year balance is projected to be $40,000 in the red for this year, and then $48,000 in the red for the next fiscal year projected. Casey?
Can I answer that, right?
Yeah, you can.
So a portion of why program that has gone into the red is because of the merit increase. So if you look at what was spent last year, in the permanent staff, it's higher than it is this year, because there was vacancies in that department. Now, we did have merit increases this year, which would be about what was overspent this year. So that's why we're so negative this year. And then also those students, what they had on staff last year for their students compared to what they have on staff this year for their students is a huge difference. Yep.
I see that, but I'm more so asking about the $52,000 increase in operations expenses. Can you speak to that?
The difference in their operations from 16,000 last year to 68,000 this year.
Oh, like how we're spending that? Is that your question?
Yes.
Okay, yes, so last year and just coming back from like being away, gone on, like having to have virtual programming to now having in-person programming and scaling those larger. That is what you see in the discrepancy. And the spring semester, we utilize the largest portion of our programming budget because we're hosting graduation events, we're hosting just a lot of Heritage Month events that take place this semester, first in April.
Just one questions? Thank you.
There's some.
Yeah, the clarification for this. So when you say merit increases, is by that, do you mean, the 5% increase that state employees had to get? So that was like the state determined that, so I just wanted to make sure that everybody's aware that like that was a university thing.
That was their department.
Yeah, or a department thing, it's like they had to do that.
And those departments that have defunded positions, which is a majority of for starting fees that are coming through. The employees that are in the departments are on the required fee, therefore that's going to the impacts. It's not a choice for the department.
Okay, wonderful. Are there any other questions? Awesome. Thank you so much for your presentation. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. We will have a proposed package done hopefully by Friday evening, maybe by Saturday, and then the next weekend after that, Jordan, no, you're good, it goes through finance. And then hopefully the week after that, it goes through full senate, at which point you will have confirmation on your allocation. Awesome, appreciate it. Thank you for coming in today.
But I have a question for the.
Yeah, what's up?
So I have, I know you mentioned Saturday, but none of us graduate students can make Saturday for deliberations.
Well, it's gonna be on the 7th. We did on.
Yeah, but regardless, Samantha works today. I like, we already have things that we wouldn't be able to attend. So I was wondering if we could discuss that schedule at some point.
Okay, we'll just plan to stay away. Ethan, what's up?
Oh, Ethan, you want to ask Casey to get the simulation files? Who is next?
KJHK.
Oh,
Okay, so this is an announcement for all members of the committee. The upstanding young gentleman in the back in the mask and the flannel is the newest member of our peer review committee for this year. There was a controversy over the eligibility to serve on this committee of Anthony Hudson. And the student affairs individual, including Dr. Durham, have decided that he is no longer on this committee. So I went back to the election that we held in finance, which was very, very messy, but thankfully I kept all of the paper ballots and we counted, and Ethan was the next up. And so he will be joining our rotation. I will work on getting him up to speed as soon as I can. I think all of you have met Ethan at some point, but please welcome our newest member of Finance Council. Or not Finance Council, peer review, I'm sorry. I think you'll have a presentation. Awesome. Casey, is there a share box? So we have to leave that.
He was next off.
No, it was Kevin Wynn. Well, no, it wasn't. You're right. Yeah. Alessia didn't. Have you sent it yet, Mazzy? Okay, cool.
Yes, so, well, they can sing, they can stay. Because they're in the last year. Whoever takes to stand that, you're not.
Give it a second to think about it.
I can do that.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, I said- Sorry.
Don't apologize, believe me. This is like, doesn't even crack the top 10. So. Okay, well, we wait for that to come through the thing, just information, so. Yeah. What's up? No, they're emailing us, we're working on it. Oh, wow.
I like to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The medicine?
Here.
Do you have a adapter for? Should I have?
M-A-Z-Z-Y. Is it? Oh. Yeah, Camden, your emails, like private emails.
To the SharePoint?
There's nothing up there that's like not on the record. My job is.
You're not giving us your secrets?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll check. Hang on. Yeah. Oh,
Oh, right, hurt.
You're good. Okay, here we go.
No, I know, every time I click this, it does not.
Apparently I'm not smart enough to figure out how to use the clip on this camera, so we're just gonna let it sit there. We're not gonna touch it, okay?
Also, I got it.
In the SharePoint, there we go. Okay, that's cool. Finally.
It's in your email. Okay. Click on that.
Let's actually do it this way.
You got it, and that's-
Give it a second. Okay, welcome everybody. While we get this sorted out, up next is KJHK, which is the student radio station. You can see their stickers around campus. It is 90.7, correct?
Yep.
Wonderful. If you're ever bored and you want to read the Wikipedia page about KJHK, there's lots of fascinating stories, including one individual who I believe, what was the story behind that one, Hazzy? Do you know what I'm talking about?
The one who said that there was like some nuclear explosion.
Yeah, there was a false nuclear event reported on KJHK in the 70s.
Like, actually, that didn't happen. Because someone decided to broadcast to the world that nuclear event was like imminent or something.
Point is, this organization has a rich history that I'm excited for you all to get to learn about.
Now to prove that we have a place in here.
Okay, I'm just gonna go this one. I don't have. Okay.
There. Thank you. I'll get this in there.
I got it up here, so. Okay. You guys ready? How many will you have presenting?
Two.
Just two? Okay, do you want to stand? You can sit, you can pull up chairs. It's okay, cool. I'll have one of you stand at the podium and.
Does this, can I click with this?
Just click on the trackpad.
Okay. Yeah, so now that we're finally here.
You want to talk into the stand mic?
Yes, I can. I can speak into the stand. Yeah, so I'm Mazzy Martinez. I'm the station manager at KJHK. And then this is our communications director, Clara Ketchel. And this is our fee review for the fiscal year of 2024. Well, so we're going to start out with our fee review video that was done by our lovely video content editor, Bakar Hamada. Can you hear it?
Last year, my first year at KU, I signed up
How do you?
I'm so sorry, everybody. We use this microphone. This is gonna have to work. Okay, go ahead and play. Audible?
last year, my first year at KU. I signed up at Union Fest at KJ's table. And I was like, this sounds fun. I started doing a podcast with my friends. And it was just a really cool way for me to like make one of my hobbies like a reality almost. Because like I don't have the money or the equipment or the means of like learning how to edit and record, but like everyone here at KJ just like made that a reality.
I did the DJ application process, immediately heard back, gone on.
Okay, let's try this, see if this microphone works better. The problem is we can't get the projector. We spent like 20 minutes fiddling with it. The projector's broken. Won't connect to the, try this one more time.
Last year, my first year at KU, I signed up at Union Fest at KJ's table. And I was like, this sounds fun. I started doing a podcast with my friends. And it was just a really cool way for me to like make one of my hobbies like a reality almost. Because like I don't have the money or the equipment or the means of like learning how to edit and record. But like everyone here at KJ just like made that a reality.
I did the DJ application process, immediately heard back, got onto music staff, and then finally found a group of people who like spoke a similar language of music that I did, which is not something I had really. As content director, I lead a staff of folks who are paid that specialize in making particular forms of content. I kind of oversee that whole operation as well as their individual positions. And then we also host weekly meetings with volunteer staff. Me and that team of staffers help train them on how to be proficient at creating video and audio content and posting it on social media, making engaging stuff. We also provide opportunities for students to attend concerts and events in exchange for writing reviews and creating content surrounding it.
It's a free video for my portfolio every weekend. Being able to see how that works, where you're recording live on air and taking video at the same time, being able to manage your own kind of production cycle as a student. And now what I do as video director is basically make content. It's a pretty great job.
I go to local businesses around Lawrence. They donate money to us, and in return, we provide an on-air spot on the radio, social media spots, and nonprofits can also reach out to us and KU-affiliated organizations. I do that. I'm emailing pretty much all day, writing contracts for that. It's really been a way to like make my way into the community, that even though it's like a university org, like people in the community really love KJHK and know KJHK. So it alone has just been a connection to people like outside of campus in town.
Yeah, I went to with Nancy Martinez, we went to Format Festival in Arkansas, which was the first time it's ever been held. I got to do concert photography. I got to be in the photo pit for like Flaming Lips, Herbie Hancock, like these huge musicians.
So it's a great group of kids. We all really care about it. We're all super close. If anything, like my favorite thing about it has been just the relationships that we've formed. It's just a great way to meet people, and it's like lifelong friends.
But essentially, we do what a good culture magazine would do, and we train young students how to be professionals.
It's just a very fun and comfortable environment. And that's the great thing about working at KJHK is I'm truly surrounded by like my favorite people. It's really the best work environment I could have asked for.
Now let's watch it again. But yeah, so that's just a little bit going forward. A little bit about the station. We were established at, we want to get into it, 12:25 p.m. October 15th, 1975, and we are an FCC licensed non-commercial radio station at KU. We are a 24-hour broadcast, even through COVID. We broadcast 24/7. We stream, and you can listen to it all throughout the world. So this year, we're requesting our fee to raise by 80 cents for a total of $4.80 in the fiscal year of 2024, with a bare minimum raise of 76 cents, which would become $4.76. Just some benefits of this increase. At $4, our hired staff are earning well below minimum wage. Some of us around like $6.50. With the station manager earning the most at $500 a month, which is part of we're all paid in monthly stipends. The least amount, 76 cents would increase would ensure that our staff are paid closer to $10.50 an hour. This would allow us to take more opportunities that would benefit students' development, like going to conferences, doing like concert photography, as well as getting paid for the tremendous amount of work that they do. There's our current budget breakdown. As you can see already, a great deal of our budget goes towards staffing. And then the next would be operating costs, and then development, station upkeep, and licensing plot costs, all things very crucial. As we go forward, a little bit about our sorry, I don't know how to fix anything. But our staff structure is there's station manager, and then there are 4 cabinet members. Content director has 5 underneath him. Programming director has 3 underneath him. 2 of those being music directors, and then 1 is the entire volunteer staff or the DJ staff. And the communications director has 5 currently, but next year we'll go to 4 as we combine live events and community engagement. And then there is the IT director, also known as the broadcast engineer. And then you'll see in content director, the in-studio director, who's currently Jackson Goodrich. He has his own multimedia staff that run those in-studio concerts that we have live at KJHK's, which is on Thursday at 7. Here's a little breakdown of our volunteers, which is super amazing. As you can see, right after COVID, we have this big boost. And you can see as it only goes higher, these are our applications. We have, we almost always have a full schedule these days, and our staffs are stacked with amazing students. And you can also see that only 16% of them are from the School of Journalism. We have this vast array of students from all over campus that come to KJHK, some of them being poli-sci, a good deal of them coming from the School of Engineering, and then you can see this other is all these different majors all across campus. So it really is a place for everyone. Here's some thoughts from alumni. This is Jackie Becker. She's on our advisory board. Being a DJ at KJHK is what opened the doors to my successful 30-year career in live music. Being able to review and play records on air gave this creative writing, political science double major a chance to work in media often reserved exclusively for journalism students. People often think that this is a world that you can't be in unless you're a J School student, but you really can't be anything. Jackie Becker has gone on to book just under 100,000 concerts, and she is a very big figure in local live music. So here's just like a little breakdown of the opportunities at KJ. You can go for professional development and tech skills and AV skills, videography and photography, as well as audio and video components to live concerts, setting up in-studio events, as well as graphic design. And then you can also learn coding and broadcast engineering. One of our students is building our app right now. And so we have all these students doing amazing things. And then basic strategic communication skills, social media management, journalism, and then event planning. You can do this giant array of things at KJ, and we are very happy to offer those things to everyone. Just remember, I'm supposed to be standing in front of the mic. But yeah, I'll move on to our fundraising.
Yeah, so while KJHK is funded 88% by the required campus student fee, we make up our money by primarily underwriting with local businesses in Lawrence. All of our underwriting ventures are coordinated by our lovely development director, Allie Madden, who is also one of the lowest paid members on our staff. She has a goal to raise 8,000, or she has raised, pardon me, $8,353 out of a $15,000 goal. That's cut off on the slides. But that's what that's supposed to be. And additionally, we do our membership drives. It's something that we started last year, but as you can see, we've already had a lot of positive growth. What's being cut off by that little box is that in this coming spring and this semester, we're hoping to raise $5,000. So we're really pushing ourselves to that next goal every time we host one of these membership drives. But while this funding is fantastic, it is not consistent. We can't rely on local businesses. We can't rely on the donations from listeners to sustain our entire station, because those things are not reliable and consistent.
So that's, sorry to interrupt, that 8,353, what does that figure out of? Is that the total? Amount?
15,000. It's out of 15,000 underwriting goal. That's how much has been raised already.
Okay, for underwriting, not membership drive.
No, membership drive, we raised this in the fall, we raised $4,715. In the spring, we're hoping to raise 5,000. We've also been out in the community, like Nancy mentioned, we've been around since 1975, so we have a very entrenched place in the Lawrence community. A couple of events that we put on this year. Our annual Farmers Ball is always a huge hit and probably the biggest event that we coordinate at the Bottleneck. We also have done partnered with the Replay. We were a media sponsor for the Taco Wars event, which was raising money for Sanctuary Alliance. We also were a media sponsor on the Period Party, which was coordinated by Just Food and was raising donations of period products for people who may not be able to get them on their own. Moving on, we have a lot of on-campus partnerships as well, including Campus Covered, Silk, and the KU Sunrise Project. One of the things that KGHK does to help these organizations broadcast their voice to a larger audience is we offer free promotional slots to all of these student organizations, really just to help them out. And then these are our social media metrics these are comparative metrics for the month of December 2021 and 2022. As you can see, that yellow bar is 2022, and we've seen positive growth on all of our social media platforms. Our Instagram is definitely the one that gets the most engagement, even though our Facebook has the most followers. This is, I don't know if I mentioned followers or subscriber counts, but our Instagram gets the most engagement. We host ticket giveaways on our Instagram, which is the way that we can make the concert experience more affordable and accessible to the general public. And we also had an Instagram reel made by the lovely content director, Max, which detailed him going to a rodeo, and it gained us about 1,000 followers overnight. So we've seen a lot of really great growth on that platform. This is a breakdown of our Facebook page likes and Instagram followers by age category. So we're defining students as 18 to 34 to include graduate and non-traditional students. But that non-student category, while it includes our very dedicated alumni, it also includes prospective students. So we do a lot of our recruiting through social media, and we've seen a lot of people come to KGHK based on what they've seen on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook. These are our streaming numbers. So in August, KGHK switched to the streaming service Mixler, and we've already increased from 10,179 listening hours to 41,416 individual listeners, just from that jump to Mixler. And that's really incredible growth that just demonstrates how important KGHK is, especially when it's more accessible. And then we've had a lot of success in terms of the greater college radio community. We are currently nominated for a few awards at the Intercollegiate Broadcast System Awards, which Mazzy and our station manager, or general manager Bobby, will be attending very soon. And then we also attended the College Broadcast Conference, where Bobby and Mazzy gave a presentation on membership drives, how to do a membership drive, which is really just a testament to KGHK's role as kind of a trailblazer in the college radio community. And then the Kansas Association of Broadcasters Award. These are our wins from last year. We're currently in the process of reapplying. As you can see, we have got quite a few awards last year from that organization. Yeah. Are there any questions? Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Well, last question, please. Okay, we're gonna go Holly Farzad.
My question is, so we've been told by the Kansas Board of Regents we can only have a maximum of a 2.9% increase. And so obviously there's a lot of entities on campus that we need to give money to, and it's going to be a really hard decision. Especially when you brought up that, you know, students are basically being paid $6.25 an hour for their work. Obviously that's disgusting. And my question is, with this, what's the lowest increase that we can go to be able to make that more equitable for students? Is it that 76 cents?
It's the 76 cents is the
That's like
lowest,
literally like rock, yeah,
rock
okay.
bottom.
Okay. Who was it?
Yeah, so for, your school budget so far is about 120,000. Right?
Actually, no, sorry, it shook out to closer to 203,000.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what's the primary cost breakdown for outside of employees? And is there anything that you guys can do on that end? Is there maybe negotiate radio costs? Bring down.
So a lot of this is pretty stagnant. We have our standard station upkeep, like running the radio aspect of it is quite expensive on its own. We have quite a lot of upkeep to do in that station. And I can't see a world where there is much wiggle room that would allow the students to be paid adequately.
And if we were to get cut in our fee, then that would go out of staffing costs, because like Mazzy said, all of these numbers on operating station upkeep, development, licensing is really the bare minimum we can do to keep a station that runs 24/7 up running. 7.
I guess my question is how, compared to other local stations in the area, how competitive are you for listeners?
Very, well, I wouldn't say very competitive, but I'll just say that, in Lawrence's Fest of Lawrence Awards, we won 2nd place, KPR, Kansas Public Radio won 1st place, so we definitely have a large presence, and on the campus, we do a lot of outreach, we do a lot of tabling and community events, like was on our slideshow, and we really try to reach as many students as possible.
Yeah, it's I would say it has generally been considered the like local station that isn't KPR.
Quick question. So I know you mentioned the Richard Brown, and obviously the funding that you received. Are there any other sources of revenue or other revenue streams that are available to KPH?
It's basically underwriting and merch
Would
sales.
be the only one we didn't mention, but once again, that's not a consistent one.
I mean, we do as much underwriting as we can and membership drive. Yeah.
Is local business.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so that is selling advertising and like that is us getting money from. No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
So yeah, advertising. So we are non-commercial. So something we do, I don't know. I can't give an exact. Yeah, you can explain it.
Hi, I'm Bobby Washington, I'm the general manager. So like, we have the same license as NPR does, and it's essentially a cheaper, like, because we can't run commercials like, hey, come on down to Bob's for XYZ. We have to run spots, they support our KJHK comes from this business. They're at this location in town, you can get this service. We can't embellish, we can't say, like, we can't have prices, but really limited in what we're able to say, which unfortunately makes students think like that they're getting less from us, even though they charge less for our spots. And then we try to explain to them why we listen to commercials, because that comes to using. But that would be something underwriting is what NPR is what people think that's the same on.
It was $8,353 as of right now. Our goal is 15. For the whole.
And it should be said that the brunt of that work falls on one of our
One
lowest
single
paid
full-time.
full-time student.
You mentioned that your feedback is kind of like how you do well on social media and how you track your listeners and
Mhm.
is that
Sorry, I'm like right next to this.
like how do you know that you're doing good and what are your feedbacks? Any track of those?
Oh, yeah, so, we're able to track our streaming listeners, and honestly, a good amount of it is, in terms of FM, it's a solid word of mouth game, a lot. We are able to get our streaming numbers, from like our online stuff. But as in people tuning in on their cars, that moment is kind of hard to get that metric. But, and yeah, yeah.
That's the only thing, is that we can't afford to estimate it. This, you know, if that would cost us an additional like $1,000 to get on their track, so we aren't able to track on this adjusted radio.
We got one from the
So what percentage of your listeners are during the program night hours, like 12 p.m. to
I don't have that breakdown on me right now. However, I would assume it's quite a bit smaller than our day-to-day.
My
But-
question is, what would your budget like if you were actively, yeah, if you weren't working public computer? Yeah.
There's no one,
I
yeah.
would say, so our radio, if there's nobody in the studio, it runs on kind of a rotation, but it's just compiled by our music directors of new music that gets sent to us or that we acquire through licensing. And that music is typically what runs, especially in those 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. slots, if we don't have somebody who's already pre-programmed a set. It's very rare that there's somebody in the studio with those numbers.
In fact, almost never.
Almost never.
That was a great question. What else do we have? Okay.
Yeah, to understand, it's like, I don't know, you said people are even volunteering, like you're.
Sorry.
Like students are volunteering, not even. People.
Oh, yeah, we have 200 volunteers hours.
Yeah, the only,
Over
15, only 15 or 16.
There are 20 paid staffers.
Yeah.
Outside of that 20, everybody else is on.
Yeah.
Less paid staffers and also.
Yes, they're over close. I think if we went to that slide, it was based on interest, but you can see in terms of interest, we had over 300 applicants for this fall.
Yeah, the station is almost entirely run by volunteers.
It's managed.
Yeah.
We're prioritizing the good numbers. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to find.
So throughout the presentation, I thought I saw Pixlr mentioned as a student option there or something like that. It seems like it's a lot for listening hours. Is there any sort of significant operating costs associated with that, or does it require any additional staff in that use like that? I'm just kind of curious.
Are you talking about running Mixler?
Yeah, like is there a rental for it? Or subscription?
There was. It costs $50.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
subscription, yeah.
It doesn't
Mhm.
require any students to actively be running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I noticed, you guys said that whatever your license is more like NPRs.
Yes.
Because the thoughts of moving to the more commercial license, so you can run paid advertisements and increase revenue.
It would cost more. And
KU owns our license, so like PJHK doesn't actually own our license to our radio station, the university does, and they would have to pay more to do that.
And if you look at most college radio stations in the country, they're like, it's not hardly any of them.
a commercial,
Commercial, yeah.
yeah.
Well, that is all we have time for. Thank you so much, KJHK, for coming in. We really appreciate it. For those of you that have not been to Farmers Ball, I cannot recommend it enough. Seriously, it is so fun. It's in April, right? March 31st, okay. You should go. I cannot recommend it enough, so. Next up, we have recycling. Do y'all have a presentation prepared or? That's perfectly fine. It's easier for us, honestly. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's all. If you guys are understanding, I'm not worried. It's possible. Do you want it projected? Okay, yeah, we'll do that. Sorry. No, you're good. I actually was second guessing it coming up here. Remind me of your name? Cameron. Cameron. Camden, that's fine.
Oh, that's, yeah, confusing if we were right in the same room more often.
We're not. So we'll have you stand at the
Sure, do you mind if I stand before you? Oh,
yeah,
that's-
that
I'm
works
gonna put
best.
this
So
over
use
it.
that microphone.
Perfect.
No.
I'm sure you've had a reasonably long day. How's it going? Sorry, I'll leave you alone. I'll leave you to it.
It's not gonna work. All right. We're just gonna have to go without a display because the projector.
It's everything, the only thing I was looking to display was the breakdown that everybody should have access to.
Yeah,
anyway.
we all
So I'm not,
do. So, okay.
like I said, not super worried about it.
Okay, so just a heads up, we're gonna call the union people because the projector isn't working again. I love the Centennial Room. It's my favorite spot in campus. You all have access to the simulation files. That is what we're going to project anyway. So please pull that up on your own devices and give your attention to Cameron as he explains his way without looking at the simulation file that you're looking at. And please do not hesitate to, if we have questions or concerns about whatever. This is gonna be hard to do without it projected. So please, this is one of the ones where, well, if you have something you need to figure out, we can interrupt and figure it out. Okay, makes sense? Cool, awesome. Cameron, the floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. My name is Cameron Lauer. I'm the Director of Custodial and Recycling at the University of Kansas. One, I'd like to say I'm grateful for the opportunity to talk to you all today about and just provide some clarity about what the entire recycling process needs, what the process is in general, and how we operate on campus as efficiently and as effectively as we possibly can with the funds that we currently have. The first thing I would like to discuss is how we are, in what ways we are doing our best to creatively and realistically address the funding issues that in the recycling department. We currently fund $75,000 from the 099 fund, which is the operations budget that supplements the recycling budget that we currently have. That is non-student fee funds, obviously. The majority of the other part that we help supplement what we get in student fees from recycling is that the majority of the recycling work inside of academic buildings are done by custodians, which are absolutely not paid by the student fund. They're an 099 funded UPS and USS, that's university professional staff and university support staff that are employed by the custodial department. So the recycling responsibilities that the custodial department takes care of takes about 10% of their overall responsibilities in those buildings. That adds up to across campus, which there are 200 buildings, not all of them academic, but what that does in just the academic buildings it equates to about 13.2 full-time employees doing recycling work that are employed by the custodian or the custodial department, excuse me. At the current custodial pay rate, that 13.2 full-time employees is approximately $350,000 of 099 funds that are doing recycling work on that stuff. So when I say getting creative to supplement the recycling department any way that we can, what I mean by that is legitimately giving responsibilities inside the buildings to the other half of my department is what that type of stuff is. That's been in place for a while. The recycling employees, which right now we have Josh Quick, who is the recycling manager, and we have 2 funded recycling tech positions, one of which is filled. We're having, as most people in both the service industry and especially the recycling and convenience departments, that we're having a little bit of trouble filling the other full-time employee position, because for similar work for the city, they're getting paid $2 more per hour. So staying competitive with that. Now, we did recently increase the tuition assistance for full-time employees. So that has helped in our recruitment efforts on that type of stuff, but it is just from basic math, a hard sell to people trying to recruit into this side of the department, when just down the street at the city of Lawrence, they can make $2 more per hour. So that's something that we are currently struggling with. Speaking of the overall process that I was talking about before, of how the custodians handle the inside the building process, what the student funds go to is the getting it out to the recycling shop, to where we can have it picked up by HAM, and we can it's a single stream recycling, so it has to be processed in a certain way out on West Campus where the shop is, and the rest of it is taken care of by an external company. Same thing with cardboard. It's a very similar process, but the part that the student fee goes to is the equipment that goes into the recycling collection process from outside of academic buildings. It goes to obviously the salaries and fringe benefits that go along with the full-time employees that we have employed for the recycling department. And then also the processing fees that we need to get that stuff taken care of in a responsible way. So like I said before, the recycling fee in the past has been used for the entirety of campus. And I mean that by not just academic buildings. With the cut that we received last year, which we went from, basically was a $2.68 cut down to $3, so almost in half last year. Basically, we have had to reevaluate how we look at recycling on campus, and how to get better, more efficient, and still provide the service that we, in my opinion, and I hope yours as well, need to provide campus. Is just a overall responsibility to the area that we live in. I mean, you could get real macro with it and say the world in general, but basically, excuse me. Thank you. That was actually a cough and a sneeze. Yeah, thank you. So to the need to reevaluate what exactly this funds need to go to, talking to the financial manager for facilities, talking to the people who have run this department in the past, that it is something that we only have the ability to currently funded, and both with the currently funded at $3 and the increase of $1.50 that I put in the request that I was going to put up on the board, that is to take care of just the academic buildings, excluding athletics, and will be excluding athletics, excluding dining, excluding the unions and housing, due to our struggles with trying to keep our full-time employees or our full-time positions filled. We have had to, the main cuts to these services on campus we're currently in discussions with all of the ones I just named. So the unions, dining halls, athletics, and housing, all of them, we've told them that we are no longer able to service that we'll be charging for our services. Those are in varying levels of discussion, but they have all been informed that this is the last fiscal year that we are able to, funding wise, provide services to their areas. Since they fall outside of the umbrella that is the academic side of campus, it's something that, in my opinion and the opinions of those I just named, it's something that should have been done a while ago. That moving forward responsibly and to be good, for lack of a better word, custodians of this fee amount, that it's something that having those hard conversations so we can get these services across campus in a responsible way, financially and environmentally, is going to be part of our process going forward. So that leads me to actually, hold on just a second. If the goal, that is my solution to the currently funded, or how we currently fund recycling. If the goal is to continue to provide complete service to the entirety of campus, the $1.50 request that I had in the is not going to be sufficient for the entirety. The $1.50 is just so we stay financially solvent through the FY25. That at our current funding, we run out of carry forward at the end of, essentially the end of 2020, or sorry, the end of fiscal year 24. I believe that there was about $18,000 left in it at that point. And any year after that, we're in the red so far that it's not worth particularly discussing past that point. If it gets past, without an increase, if it gets past FY24, it's something that we'll have to drastically cut services on campus, both to the including the academic buildings, that may go as far as, depending on what funding is at that point, from whatever avenues we're looking at, maybe an elimination of recycling in the academic buildings on campus. I say in the academic buildings on campus because, like I said, that's the only thing we're focusing on with the student fee. Every other aspect of campus that doesn't fall under that umbrella will be charged for their recycling services. In addition to funding issues, because everything I just named off essentially has to do with both the processing of the material and the full-time employees employed on that side of campus. So in addition to those, we desperately need to update the equipment necessary to run the recycling program on a campus this size. The current recycling trucks are over 17 years old in the newest case, and obviously outdated and in need of replacement. Not only do they contribute to a negative image of the university with driving around, if you guys have seen the condition of the trucks or the recycling trucks driving around, they are old and rust has taken over certain aspects of them.
Together with baling wire and bread.
And actually more baling wire than prayer, but yes. So desperately needs a replacement, just the equipment there. We also have a cardboard baler that we have to prepare the material to be picked up by the outside contractor that is also in need of upkeep and that type of stuff that feeds into those that argument as well. So yeah, negative image of the university, but also impede our ability to effectively collect and transport recyclables. What I mean by that is that we have 3 recycling box trucks on campus. One of them completely functions. The other one has the hydraulics are out of the lift that is essential to utilize the vehicle. Like, so we have the percentage of pickups that we have in the recycling department on buildings that have a dock. So we just a straight on, like you load it from the dock into the truck, is 7% of the buildings that we pick up from. So 93%, we literally pick up from the ground, put on the lift up into the truck, and then play a level of Tetris into the back of that so we can effectively load that back to the west side of campus. Without that lift, the majority of the bins and the receptacles that we have recycling on the outside of buildings picked up in are minimum 2 people to lift them up, just from a safety perspective, and they are not possible. We have to, if the lift isn't working, we have to literally pull the material out of the bins themselves into material or into bins that are on the truck already. That's not an efficient way to do things. I mean, it's also, as unbiasedly as I can say this, gross. But it's something that functioning trucks are probably our biggest hurdle in providing recycling services to campus right now. Like, we have some very creative and people who genuinely care about campus working in the recycling department. Their names are John and Josh, and I can't say enough good things about them, about holding this stuff together. I'll at some points go on pickup, but I'll almost completely blame it on them. that they have the ability to keep up with what they've kept up with two individuals is impressive. And it's worth mentioning that those two people are one of the main reasons why we still have recycling on campus, just physically. So basically, the trucks right now, if we had the ability to, well, one, hire enough full-time employees to where we can be fully staffed, and then also have fully functioning trucks that we can go around and not have to get creative on how to get the material onto the truck and back over to West Campus to be processed. That's what's holding us back the most as far as being efficient and doing all that type of stuff. But also, the new trucks would not only provide a more reliable and efficient method of collection, like I just talked about, but it would potentially be better equipped to handle larger volumes of recyclables, which is becoming more and more of an issue in academic buildings. It's also worth mentioning that if we do eliminate, like we found out in housing, if we do eliminate recycling in any aspect of campus, that expense doesn't just go away. That with that amount of, and we average, and this is including the summer months where it dips down to under 5 tons per month and during the summer months. But on average, we have 17 tons of recyclable material coming through our processing shop over on West Campus every month. So this is and again, that's worth shouting out both John and Josh for their ability to deal with that level of material. But all of that material, if we eliminate the recycling services of these buildings, that goes into the landfill, which is bad enough from an environmental perspective, bad enough from, logistic perspective, from how buildings are run, but it also contributes to the amount of pickups of landfill trash from the city that the campus would then be charged for. I understand that it wouldn't come out of student fees to pay for those services through the city of Lawrence. It's still, if we're looking at like what is best for campus and what is on that type of stuff, it's still where exactly that, like, it still is a campus expense. So it still has to come from somewhere. It doesn't just go away if we eliminate the service. I really want to nail down that investing in our recycling program is not only an opportunity to enhance our sustainability efforts, but it also demonstrates our commitment to being responsible and environmentally conscious community. Lawrence is, I think, more conscious about those type of things than others in the state of Kansas. It's something I take pride in. It's something that when I talk to other universities, it's something that not everybody puts the value in this program. There's a lot of workarounds. I think that single stream recycling and the overall rate at which we are that we can take care of these materials scares off a lot of people, but it's something that KU has historically been a leader in pushing the recycling side of things. And it's just something that with the funding issues that we have, with the increase in the inflation has something to do with it too. All of our rates for processing this equipment have gone up. That goes into the $1.50 request that was put in on the thing. There's it just goes down to being a part of the community here in Kansas that is committed to making things better instead of just making things work. If that makes sense, please.
Wonderful. Okay, so are we
Go
going
ahead.
to the questions? Okay. So Holly, Farzad, and then Amanda.
No, so I was part of the hearing last year and the year before, so I remember that conversations about having to cut this fee because we were just in a choice.
Sure.
With what the Kansas Board of Regents said we could give us an increase. So my question is, we've had conversations, Student Senate leadership of last year, and we've had other conversations again this year with Chancellor's office about them finding money institutionally to help pay for recycling? Have you had those conversations with them?
So I've had several conversations along those lines with different vice provost, one, the vice provost of operations, who I report to, his name's Mike Rounds, and then also the vice provost of student affairs. I've had and also the provost themselves. It's not something I've gotten a defined answer about what exactly is coming as far as funding or any of that type of stuff to where I feel comfortable planning on any of those type of funds when we're talking about continuing the recycling services on campus.
Yeah, so I guess I was looking through your guys'
Sure.
submission. I saw that you guys don't have any student jobs.
We do not.
Do?
We do not.
Yeah. So it says student staff salary range at about 5,000 and 960.
With our financial person on campus, that was a backlog, or like, it's something that wasn't paid beforehand. If I didn't delete that from the future fiscal years, that's my fault. That is a correct number for the current fiscal year.
So it's zero.
It is, yes. Moving forward, it's to elaborate on that a little bit, that the shifts of 2 hours a person, it's too big of a recycling, too big of a job now. Recycling is turned into to be done in 2 hour increments, that is literally like one run. We would have to supplement the full-time employees that we have. That's essentially putting in a 5 to 6 student worker to, make up for that.
Okay, so you were talking about your plan to start charging the
Sure.
university, and I was wondering, do you think that plan would allow recycling to increase its revenue by a substantial amount, and are you thinking that the department are willing to pay that amount?
So yes and no. So their willingness to pay on that type of stuff comes down to their desire to continue recycling. Dining, because I believe they're also mainly funded by student fees, had the unions, had probably the most difficult conversation about charging for those services. Going forward, like I said, we have stopped and cut service to the housing side until we have those. But really what that comes down to is that it is charging for straight up the level, the full-time employees. So it's something that past this fiscal year, if they don't contribute to that type of stuff, we legitimately cannot continue providing service to that area, because what will allow us to continue service in that area is them funding a full-time position. Not everybody is at the level that would fund a full-time position, but both housing and dining are both daily pickups. And so the amount of full-time employee hours that are contributed, that are assigned to those areas, are in some cases over a full-time employee. So it's something that we can't continue those services unless they provide that funding, because we won't have the full-time employees to do so.
Well,
My follow-up to
Yes,
the
please.
question I asked, is that when we were in talks with the chancellor in the spring, we worked out it'd be about $130,000 that the university would need to contribute. Is there any way, and I don't know if you can think this for us by Friday, but if you could potentially incorporate that into, like,
Incorporate
if you
into-
get- If you get that money, what's the increase you would really need from students?
Sure. It's something I can more than likely get that by Friday, yes.
Because we will have a very serious conversation about that with them to try and get the ball rolling, because
Could you run that number by me one more time?
$130,000.
Thank you.
Because it seems to me that, and the issue we had last year is not the fact that we don't believe in recycling. It's the fact that why should students be the only ones paying for recycling? It should be an institution thing. So we'll try our best as leadership between the Senate to see what we do.
I appreciate that.
yeah, so this 150 is just to keep operation.
In the academic buildings.
Yeah. Are the like provost and like staff policies having recycling
Yes, they
right
do.
now?
Mhm.
Provost is, Council Bishop.
So academic buildings all have recycling services right now. Like on that type of stuff. The only thing that has been fully cut was the housing side. And that is because I wanted to give the, for instance, dining, the amount of recyclable material that would go into the landfill would be substantial. I can't in good conscience cut that off and and just, hard line that whole group of individuals saying, listen, I need this much a month, which I do have those numbers as far as what it would be a month per those things. They don't involve the student fee, but it's something that we're giving them to the end of the fiscal year to decide whether or not they want to continue recycling services through the university.
When looking at the historical amount you have been getting from students,
I'm gonna get closer to you. Go ahead.
I'm looking at like the figures from 2017 that you have, it's just like five.
Yes.
5.6. It has been constant, but last year, why was it cut and what happened?
Why was it cut last year more than it was sustained or?
I can explain that real quick. So the history of NC essentially is that, we had some difficult financial conditions last year, operating under the assumption we weren't allowed to raise the student fee, and there's so much fees, including recycling, that were, really right in the financial, edge. And so we said, we did administration will pay, and said, look, you're not paying whatever we, so we looked at this bill, and no one of the students. We'll be doing the title for the second, so that's certainly the part.
That's the money I was referring to.
Last year,
Yes.
I'm still getting not.
We're working.
Yeah.
Not yet.
That's that could be $10,000.
And what happened?
What happened to the what?
What happened as a result of that?
We
we-
can explain that later. This is, we're better positioned at the program.
Yeah, so I had a question.
Please.
So for housing, dining, national unions, what have their responses been about implementing for second services?
I mean, as you would expect, anybody that had, because I mean, with daily pickups and the size of receptacles that we have in the dining area specifically, that is a couple of and I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it's between $1,500 and $2,000 per month, which they have claimed they do not have the ability to pay. So currently having discussions with them about their willingness to contribute to that process and whether or not they want to continue service.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm clear on the trucks. So there's
Yeah.
three trucks,
Mhm.
one works.
Yep.
One has the hydraulics, it doesn't work, so you have to have two people and mix them up.
It's not picked stuff up. That's, it's literally take the material out of the material or out of the container and then put it into a container that's in the truck. Like, so hopefully that's bags, but there is unfortunately a lot of loose material in a lot of these containers.
And the third truck does work.
It does not. The third truck has this, I'm sorry to include the information about that one. The transmission is out on that one and it costs more to fix it than it does to actually buy a new truck. So we have, for instance, we're in the process of taking the lift off of that truck, putting it on the one where the lift does not work, so we can kind of scavenge the non-working truck to get creative to get as many wheels on the ground, picking up material.
So one truck is moving right now.
One truck is definitely moving right now. The other one is on its way to.
And then this next year, does this increase from $1.50 to a new truck? Or does it just?
It is included on, if you look at the details, not the summary one, there is $40,000 for a new truck built into, that's part of the process. Yeah, it is.
My question is, what have the conversations with housing and dining been like? I know you mentioned about the audience, but. Oh.
But it was, I mean, I can go ahead and it's the housing have, to be very clear, both with the participation from the environmental representatives in the scholarship halls, which have been very helpful in talking and communicating with housing operations. They have been, if there's a highlight in these type of conversations to where I'm essentially shaking people down for money, that they have been pleasant. Their goal is to, it is our goal to have recycling going again, hopefully by the beginning of this fiscal year, so this summer in housing. But again, that's to get housing up and running. I'm going to estimate. I'm not going to estimate. It's an actual number. I just don't remember exactly what it is, but it's around $50,000 that they contribute to per year, funding a full-time position solely for housing.
And then my question is, can we, let's say, skip certain buildings, perhaps admin buildings?
So it's some. Admin building, it kind of, so there's admin a little bit, okay, that's why I thought you were headed with that. I was gonna say administrative buildings, you could argue that Caruth is administrative building, like it's on that type of stuff. There are, so once, it won't be an all-out cut immediately, onto that type of stuff. Now, if we get zero funding increases from either administration or, this fee committee or any of those type of things, we will be broke at the end of 2024, end of fiscal year 2024.
Worst case scenario.
That is a worst case scenario. We have a runway of this next fiscal year and we'll have around $18,000 left over for the, I mean, like, it'll be about that. So, you know,
When we're. And we can put around that specifically by basketball.
so not just Strong Hall, because if it's something that, like, we don't see any movement on these type of things, similar to how we cut it in housing, reducing services won't even be, well, it's not even just going to be an option, it's going to be a necessity, yes. So and I would say, I understand the logic of not picking up Strong Hall to directly influence, but the thing is that it won't directly involve, it won't affect the building users themselves. So if we're talking about administration trying to, that type of stuff, they're not the ones bringing the material out to the bins, that they'll just continue to throw things away in landfill trash. It'll get taken care of like anything else would in an office area. So we would take it away from that specific building, sure. They wouldn't notice, I don't think. It's not something that, like, as a general building user, you would notice, because other than if you walk by the bins to walk in the building. 100%.
And there's like departments, like people and stuff.
There is a lot of student facing places or services in Strong Hall that, but again, this is removing recycling services from a building isn't necessarily visible unless you're paying attention, or like you said, on that type of stuff, to the actual building users. So I get the logic of picking which buildings that we take from, but more than likely it'll be on a amount of material coming out of the buildings, so we can Tetris this stuff together and put as comprehensive of a plan to where we can utilize the server or utilize what we have in the best way possible.
Wonderful. That is all we have time for. Thank you so much for coming in today, Darren.
Thank you all. Appreciate you. Good luck.
Okay, we now have a 15-minute break. I'm going to run, get coffee, water, a little bit of food. Madison, can I get you to call the building manager and see if they can figure out the projector? Yeah, that's fine. Just a second. They have. Well, they have 2 employees budgeted, only one of which is filled because the city of Lawrence pays $2 more per hour.
John and Joe.
Or the other people are like not full-time employees.
No, my understanding was that there were like 2 managers,
Yes.
like Cameron and then the other manager, and then apart from that, one other employee.
Yeah, that's fine.
And they need.
No, they just wanna get the other one.
Addison, how do I share a meeting?
No, it's still got. Yeah, I think.
Communicate with people. And say they like hate the fly out. There you go. So.
Okay, this is the backstory, okay, this is the status quo. So last year they were reduced down, the reason that it was approved by the General Office to be reduced down is because they had enough in their reserve, and they're carried forward, right? So surplus, basically get them through this year, part of next, we're not doing this or that, so they need to be decided. But basically last year was like our opportunity to reduce them down, eat out their carry forward, because like they needed last year's fee, but they wouldn't be surplus, basically, there shouldn't be surplus this year. So this whole fiscal year, none of their operations are reduced because of the actual reduction in student services. This is coming from a meeting with Cameron last summer. So the reduction in services that we're seeing across campus today that had entirely due to not being able to hire that second full-time position, not to be reduction. They operated at FY 22 levels the entire year with their funding things because of how much they're running out was substantial. So they actually have $200,000 to carry forward. They use 120,000 with the reduction. So they sell some. But this year, we had meeting last semester, I had meeting last semester. It is going to be in the budget. Should be, we'll in the budget. It was like, talk to the chancellor's office, talk to Warrenberger, and all that stuff. And it's in the conversations for with the advisory board just in March the last time, which they're gonna vote on what's people that it's 2K for. It was like $120,000 that will be picked up by the chancellor.
So we need to think about that when thinking about getting rid of the money.
So if they were operating at, why are they going to?
Why are they what?
That with the trucking working?
Well, why they get rid of housing? Yeah, it's because they're stuck in the money because they can't hire a second position. And that's what they explained, like, it was like, that was a big in their ask for that and what gives them their budget. And so it was asked, it was considered raise wages, they have to carry forward, they come in competitive, but it didn't. They said that they didn't. But they do still need to consider for it to be run for. But that's what they use about 100,000 last year. They use 660.
That's why I asked the question about if you got that $130,000, how much do you really need from us? Because we really only have like $14 that we can allocate, like 2 months and so overall, and we're going to put the cost of like. This is crazy question. Yeah, I think maximize that. So like, if they're gonna get the money from, do you think Trump's office is gonna do it? I feel like this is, I don't think it's the most question. I don't know.
Yeah, so in the meeting, and really especially like, oh yeah, like that's just gonna be a hobby.
Yeah, I remember that.
Even Warrenberger. So Turner and I met.
Okay.
With him. Yeah, he's literally like, this is, I think, his reaction. Sure. And then he was like, how much exactly would that be? And we're like, oh, da da da. He's like, yeah, just give me the number.
We should just really like.
Yeah, we will. And that's, it's on our radar, and then also too, it's confident what we're gonna pay for, it's also part of their report. In for sustainability, but see that in the high kind of we want to.
So hopefully, December, it gets that information for us, then we know like, it might be like 20 cents.
And we should be able to read it, because it really garner that in this, by us, these there.
Okay,
They're operating at.
so we'll ask Kate to do that on Friday. Thank you, Sadie. We now stop.
They tried to get me into that. Now it's like, I don't know. Yeah. I got moved. I'm a little sick.
That's why it's up to you.
You need the projector.
Yeah, the people, and Camden was actually running it, so we have another person who tried getting it to work and then it didn't. So.
There it is.
Thank you.
You mind if I plug it? Is it okay?
We can try. I don't know if he has enough for it. Okay. Might have to unplug the webcam for this.
I can also log
Do you
into my
have it?
email.
Do you have it in SharePoint yet?
No.
We can put it in SharePoint for you. That would be easier.
I don't know how we get it there.
I can use my computer.
Oh,
Then we can just upload it.
okay, if that works for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
can
can
load
do
it up
that.
there on the screen.
Yeah.
But I can't take like extreme. I have to like know, I'll stick my feet out. When I'm doing that. I'm kind of weird, but it has to be colder. The outside environment, the bed environment has to be warmer, but not. Yeah, I need to sleep. Last year I tried to sleep for I heard about it. So like Da Vinci and what did it? I tried that. My son. Yeah, my learning capacity is strong. Did not like what came like like I could do like but if I'm trying to do something like learning about optimized stuff, my brain is yeah, but like busy work, learning lower like stuff. I do worse if I get this, unless it's like get something done. It's still not good. Like, I'm probably gonna end up doing worse if I spend more time studying.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up on the use Safari. Is that what you've been using?
Yeah.
Okay. It's pulling it up in their whatever it's called, the file.
I think you have. Before I do. Well, I dude, I need to know. Come on, guys, bro. I just can't really get 10 with that. That's like a Sunday. It was in the summer. I was like, I
No, we're good. One more, like, 25 more seconds.
Cool, you just let me know.
Yeah.
You let me know when you're done. I'm Ash, by the way. We haven't texted.
Yeah, I saw you present virtually.
Okay.
Wait, which initially?
Madison, are you getting it?
No, it's like a. You have for a while.
Camden, are you getting it?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Are you guys getting it set up?
Casey, can you hear this? Casey?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, we're hearing you loud and clear, so.
Is Ash's presentation set up?
Yes, it is. It's on my screen. I need to share it right now.
Oh, no, you're fine. I just want to make sure that you all had that set up correctly. I gotta run inside and grab my kid and I'll be right back out.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, I can.
Cool, awesome. All right, Ash, we're ready for you. This is Ash, the director of the Center for Sexual, oh wait. I'm so sorry.
Center for Sexuality and Gender
Center for
Diversity.
Sexuality and Gender Diversity. I apologize. It has been a day. Yeah, we're happy to have them. Look forward to hearing about this organization.
Hi, everyone. Ash Wilson, they them pronouns, director of the Center for Sexuality and Gender Diversity. I started this last year by saying I was also a student government kid and also on the finance committee. And so kindred spirits in the room. So wanted to pull up this presentation. There we go. Wanted to give you a little bit of a background and a foundation of the center. So this is the team. In the back, we actually have Corey here with us because this is a great professional development opportunity. And Corey wanted to sit in and see how the money is made. It's a sausage that's made, my bad. See how the sausage is made. So this is our team. We have some professional staff, a graduate assistant, and then also some student ambassadors over here. They're all undergraduate students. Then down here, this is our mission, vision, and pillars. And so everything, long story short, everything we do should be based in at least one of these pillars. Usually we double dip and hit a couple things, but those are the things that inform the work we do. And all of that is based on current research for queer and trans college students. So I wanted to start by giving you a little bit of a year in review. These are some of the accomplishments from since last spring till now. So I won't read all of them. I'll highlight a few though. We did receive a grant. That was a goal that I had. Last year I got to watch Jen Brockman present and she is like so good at getting grants. And I said, I wanted to play that game too. So we actually got a grant to capture the queer and trans stories across campus. And so we're doing that. We created a revenue generating system to offer external trainings outside of the campus. We hired a new program coordinator, Corey in the back. And partnering with classrooms and faculty and instructors. And so reaching into the academic world as well as the student world as well. Not that the academic world is not the student world, but I think you know what I mean. Some more, we partnered with student housing to create the Rainbow community. That's a more focused community than they had in the past. And so that is a new opportunity for students to come into KU and live in an LGBTQ plus space. We went to some leadership conferences, partnered there. We added a new neurodivergent and QTs with disability student support group, and lots of other things. So I wanted to give you a little bit of a snapshot of how we spent our year. Priorities for next year. The first one, and it is intentional that it is listed first, is enhancing initiatives for BIPOC students. So that is a priority that we have moving forward. Establishing the Rainbow community with housing, creating that as a structured system and programmatic space. Enhancing the advocacy work. You saw our pillars before. Our weakest one is advocacy, and so that needs to be bolstered up. We focus this year on wellness and have a good spot with that. Some other things, creating a mentoring group, a connection program, creating a QT alumni network, already starting that conversation with alumni affairs, and they're very excited for that. Creating a functioning student advisory board that will inform how we spend money, our giveaways, our programming offering, things like that. So lots of things that we're focusing on. Wanted to give some information on the impact that we're seeing from students and from our space. So some cute pictures. This was drag bingo during Hawk Week, literally standing room only, huge success, lots of fun. This was the grand opening of our trans clothing closet here, and you see a picture of that there. If you have not checked it out, please do so. It's an OMA. That's an intentional partnership there with them. Please check it out, right? It'll help you either get resources or be able to communicate about that with students. This was our drag show. We had over 500 participants there last year, and already well into planning. Corey is leading the planning there for the drag show this year. And then some words to talk about the impact. So we had over 2,300 interactions last year. And that's only counting program tabling and education. We don't count people that just come in and use our space because people are not numbers, right? We don't click person for person because that doesn't really tell us anything. And so also respecting that people are not numbers. And so people are using our space more than this number represents, but that's how we're capturing that information right now. We've given over 55 binders, chest binders, since the implementation, which was last semester. And so in only a semester, we've given out 55 chest binders. Research shows that that is a gender affirming care, life-saving piece of clothing for folks. And all of those are coming to us for free from 2 different partnerships that we've acquired since we've been doing the program. We have trained 98% more people in Safe Zone. That's almost right, clearly almost 100% increase from last year. And we anticipate and have a planned, committed 300% increase for next year. And so lots of growth in our Safe Zone program. The numbers are broken down here with who the population is. That's a very big growth in our undergraduate population as well as our graduate population from last year. And so this is directly impacting students. And then the numbers of about 80% said that they would participate in a second level training, which we've started to implement. And that's underway. And then 90 would recommend Safe Zone training. And you're not going to recommend something you don't like. And so that also tells me that people are enjoying the program and are satisfied with that. Some qualitative information from that. And then I'll let you all kind of hover here on the impact. This is the data down here in this last box that I think is most impactful. So I'll talk about the other ones as you read through that. The only suggestion that we've gotten is that we need to be doing more. So that's fun and hard, but also challenging and validating. And so, right, some qualitative pieces. We simply asked people, what does the center mean to you? And these were their responses. Okay, so wanted to give you a snapshot of our current funding and spending. So this is how I spend money first. I spend from other lines first and deplete that before I tap into student money to be ethical and informed with how we do spend student money. And so we spend our 099 funding first, that's our state funds. We also, right, I got a grant that's funded a new program that I would not have had money to fund otherwise. We try to get donations. So One Day One KU is coming up. We have a campaign to get money there. I solicit unashamedly for people to support queer and trans work. And then external trainings, I talked earlier about how we have that external funding line. AMC, the movie theater, had us go out and train their staff and paid us to do so. And so that also supplements this work as well. And then we partner extensively on campus. I have a lot of campus connections, and we constantly are partnering and sharing the expense of serving students. So I wanted to talk through a few scenarios for you. The first is flat. So this is what would happen if we're flat. I plan on increasing the student staff rates to $12 an hour regardless. So if we do that, we would have to decrease student hours by 20%. What I think is important over the next few slides is really understanding, I'll scroll up so you can see it, is the price of time. Right, and so because we have less time and less hours in the center, we would have to reduce the amount that we do. So for example, buttons fly out of the center so quickly, like literally quicker than we can order the supplies. We've, by my rough count, have distributed over 5,000 buttons just in this one semester. It takes a lot of time to make those buttons and to inventory them, to make sure that we have a non-binary button and a trans button and a gay button and a lesbian button. And so there's a lot of time that takes to do that work. And so although I wouldn't be decreasing supply lines and we would be able to buy button materials, we wouldn't have the time to make them. And so I think understanding the price of time is really important. And so if we're flat, that's what that would look like and happen. And then for Safe Zone, currently we're also still training faculty and staff. I feel strongly about continuing to do that, because if faculty and staff are trained, that's also impacting the students. And there's a direct impact on students when faculty and staff are trained well. If we stay flat, we'd have to reduce that amount and continue to focus on student trainings, and we would be missing that connection there. And we'd also have to cap the number. Right now, we can continue to accommodate all requests at this point. So scenario A, so this is what I'm asking for. So the increase of $1.50, bringing us to $4.60, would be to increase the hourly wage again. Hours for training and development. Right now, we don't have a dedicated line to bring our staff back early to train them and all of the things that queer and trans serving folks need to be trained on. For example, we know that queer and trans folks experience disproportionate rates of sexual violence, of mental health concerns. Our staff need to be trained in suicide prevention and in bystander intervention to be able to serve that community best. So currently we don't have a sustained structure to do that. And that doesn't feel ethical to me. And so money to train folks. I want to offer employment for our graduate assistant. I think it's hard when you're a graduate student to have employment and then a gap and not being able to go back home or go and get sustainable employment for 2 months. A lot of places won't hire people for 2 months. And so I want sustainable employment options for the graduate assistant there. I also want a new graduate assistant, knowing that we have a committed increase in our Safe Zone presentations, 300%, we need someone to supplement that, and we need administrative support. Currently, we do not have administrative support, a dedicated person to do that. And so that leaves our program coordinators to be dividing their work and focus. And Cornelius, our Safe Zone person, is constantly scheduling, constantly communicating with people, constantly reserving rooms instead of facilitating programs. And so needing someone, in this case, a graduate assistant, again, to help graduate students as well, and create that new position for them to support administratively, have Safe Zone support and supervision for that graduate student. And then also money to have toward one large keynote speaker per year. We've seen a lot of folks bring in keynote speakers throughout the last year and a half since the pandemic was quote unquote over. And there's been a lot, quote unquote, I know. And so, right, we've seen a lot of momentum with keynote speakers and a lot of impact. People are still talking about Eloque, right? That was a really big one that OMA brought in and was really impactful. So the next scenario that you all asked for was a 5% decrease. Again, focusing on the price of time. I'd have to decrease hours by 25%, so directly impacting our student staff positions. That would also trickle down to what we could do in the center with those hours. It would decrease Safe Zone and force us to cut back on our special projects. We would have to very narrowly focus in on our position descriptions instead of being creative. And that creativity is really reflexive on student wants and needs. Currently, we're able to, Corey and I had a conversation today where a grad student said, do you have any virtual options for programming? And we said, no, we don't. And let's do 2 this semester, right? We're able to be flexible and responsive to student needs. If we have a decrease, we will not be able to, we will have to be more rigid and more focused. And then a 10% decrease would be very hard, very hard. We would not be able to sustain, we would have to take back significantly. We'd have to reduce student hours by about 50%. We'd have to eliminate those faculty and staff safe zone trainings and only focus on students, which I think does a disservice. We'd have to cap those trainings, eliminate the safe zone binders, cut down on special projects. It was, I think in the other one before, but restrict donations to the trans closet. Right now, we're not restricting and we're able to sort through them. With less staff, we wouldn't be able to. And we'd have to eliminate our adorable shirt. You know, the shirt, the really cute, thank you for knowing it. It's not, we wouldn't be able to fund that. And that sounds silly, right? And I said it a little flippantly, and it's visibility and it's representation on campus. And so it might seem like just a t-shirt and that's not a big deal. It's not a big loss. And I can smell a rainbow a mile away. Truly, right? As a queer, non-binary person, I look for symbols and cues that I am safe. That shirt is a symbol and a cue that represents the culture as well as the individual wearing it. And that is a significant impact. And so it might seem silly for me to say we'd have to get rid of a shirt, and that is meaningful and impactful. So those are the scenarios. What questions do you all have? Holly? Oh, sorry.
Use this microphone.
Cool.
My question is, because it's not necessarily clear on, the simulation file. So for the graduate assistant that you currently employ, because you employ one and you're wanting to get another.
Yep.
What's the hourly wage?
We did the math. It's about $15 an hour.
Okay, so I just want to reiterate that that is $7 less an hour than GTA step on our campus, and that is a really inequitable wage as a graduate student that already has a degree or multiple.
Yep.
Just want to reiterate.
Yep.
I have 2 questions here. So you said there's a 98% for in student zone. Around what?
Yeah, that was student housing, actually. So student housing, undergrad staff makes up almost 200-ish with their entire staff. And they had to pause trainings when we relaunched. There just wasn't the capability with our office where our numbers were and their coordination.
I just meant like the previous levels. Like what were like previous levels of the percentage increase, like in terms of raw numbers.
Like how many people went through training?
Yeah.
Okay. Last year, when I did the presentation, it was about 200. And so this would be about 400.
What percentage of your total expenses are coming from the student?
What percentage of your total revenue is the student fee?
I don't know. I don't know the percentage breakdown of that. Casey might know that. I know I get student fees. I know I have a small 099 fund. I have a small endowment line, but that's about it. So a large majority is coming from student fees.
I can get that number for you all tomorrow.
Thanks, Casey.
I have a question. So looking at the fee history of SGB, and then you all were more than doubled last year. And you come forward again, asking for an increase. My question for you is, what would you tell the other, fee managers who received a cut last year, or, were not able to maintain service for a level of, where their fee was remained flat? Why, after a year after having your fee doubled, you should receive another increase?
Sure. So clarification, I don't think our fee was doubled. We didn't have a fee before. So this year is our first year on fee.
Sadie?
That's a crazy question.
I have it in front of me. It was 145 fiscal year 2022. This year it's 310. More than double.
Casey, did you have a thought?
So if you all remember, SGD used to be on alternative funding, and they just came over to required campus fees last year. So the fee amount that they started with what was it, a year ago, was a partial of what they were getting on block funding. And so then they switched over onto required campus fees fully last year. Does that help answer that question?
Yeah. Other questions? Daniel? Wait, your proxy is here, so,
So you said that you might need to reduce hours by about 20% if you move to $12 an hour for all your staff. What are current hours and? how much-
Yeah, so current hours, we have budgeted 50 hours per week. And so 20% of 50. So that's 10 hours a week.
This is a follow-up to Carson's question.
Yeah.
So those 50 hours, does that include your graduate work?
No.
Okay.
No,
So that's
we would not
for-
touch that line.
And currently, I did come in late, so I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're fine.
Currently, what do your student workers earn per hour? That is-
10.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so
very
this was if you would increase the 12.
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
Okay, can I get a clarification from Casey again? Hey, Casey? Hey, Casey?
Yeah.
Okay, on the simulation file, can you explain what the 145 for fiscal year 2022 and SGD simulation file means then?
Oh, okay. Well, then, sorry, then I misspoke. So it was FY20, whatever the first year that is showing. If you click on the history tab, you can see the history of the SGD fee. So the first year that they were on there, they received a partial fee, and the remaining of their fee came from 758 funds, which is the Student Senate funds. And then after that, the second year, they went fully funded on required campus fees. I'm not looking at my computer, so I can't see the simulation file right this second.
That would be fiscal year 22, correct?
I don't know. I'm not looking at the simulation file, so I can't tell you.
Yeah, that's the partial funding, 2023 funding.
Which is this year. This is the first year we've been on fully funded student fees.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because, yes.
So how much did they receive in addition to the 145 listed in 22?
They went back to their full rate that was prior on block. So the agreement for them to move from block onto required campus fee is that they would only go partial the first year on required campus fee. And then the second year, they would go fully funded back to what their block allocation used to be.
So there was
So
no,
whatever rate it is what their block allocation used to be.
okay. Let's see. That helps.
Sorry, I
Thank
just
you.
got home, so I'm pulling up my computer now. So
Easy.
if you need more clarification, let me know.
Other questions? That's a way up for you. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Because I think this is very important. So,
Yeah.
my question is, if you, because the likelihood of us being able to give you 150 is like a high number.
Sure. Yep.
But are you able to maybe get to us if you kept your students at $10, like your student workers are at 10.50, whatever, and you kept your current student, your current graduate assistant, how much of an increase you would need if without other DTA would be able to get us information like that? So it would not necessarily a cut, but an increase that isn't $1.50.
Just to make sure I'm asking so I can get you this. And right, it wouldn't be in this moment.
No.
It sounds, thanks. Are you asking if I didn't increase wages and I didn't add this new GA?
Yeah.
What would the increase, what am I looking for?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
we're keeping programming because obviously every fee is important to different individuals in different ways, but it's important to keep our student, and we all care a lot about having student workers get an equitable wage. But we also are constrained by what we do with regions that are going to allow us to do. The fact that we have multiple entities that really need funding, and so we have to compromise in some way.
Yep.
Hey, Ash,
Yeah, Casey.
would that actually be answered in keeping your fee flat? because keeping your fee flat does not increase your student hourly wages.
But what about programming?
I think Holly's asking what the fee would what would I be asking for to increase the programming?
Yes, so, because now we're back on campus and everything. It's
I,
obvious.
yeah, I need time to think about it.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
that's fine.
no, I know,
You
I
just
know.
Need to know by Friday, so.
Yep.
Okay, do we have anything else for that? Alessia.
Hi, Ash. So these students have recently passed a resolution in support of trans students here at the University of Kansas, especially in light of SB 12 coming through the Kansas legislature. And so in part and parcel with that support, do you think an increase of the SGDP would be applicable with that resolution in terms of supporting our trans student population here at KU?
Right, my short answer is yes, and I would need time to think about how to allocate that funding, right? Like we've needed to be very strategic with how we spend money, right? As we all just kind of intimately learned about how we've moved from block and supplemental funding to fee funding, we've had to be very strategic with that. And examples of that are the trans closet. We've spent almost $0 on that. And we've had to be creative. Having to be creative is exhausting. And when you look around campus, the folks who are forced to be creative usually are folks who represent and hold marginalized identities. We are creative humans because we've had to be in order to be resilient. And so, right, we will find a way to make it happen, right? And we're also creative because we care that we're serving students. And we won't stop serving students regardless of if we have $0. And then maybe I shouldn't be saying this at this meeting, but like it's true. And it's authentic and it's real and it's valid. And having to be creative with money is exhausting and it takes resources away from the things that we could be doing. And so, yes, our queer and trans students are under attack. At multiple levels, at the national level, at the state level, at the regional level, at KU, to varying degrees and ways. And that only compounds when you add additional marginalized identities, right? Our Black, queer, and trans students absolutely are under attack. And so when I look at SB 12 and I look at the work that we're trying to do, the trans students here are terrified that they won't be able to access gender affirming care. And so there needs to be a way to help supplement that impact in some way. And our office is hopping. I don't know if you all have noticed the difference this semester. There are students in there all of the time, not just when we're hosting programs. And so that means that that's a space for them that they feel safe. And we need to continue that because that might be and is likely the only spot that they feel safe on campus, period. And so, yes, right, like I can spend any money you give me to support queer and trans students. And the more it makes it easier for us to not have to force to be creative and spend those resources and energy and time on things that we can just do.
How much was that? Is that like people in terms of,
Sorry, I think I heard most of it. This fan over here is hard. Yeah, no, you're good. So the grant was $12,000. It allowed us to create and start a program that we would not have started before. And so, yes, that is a way that we were creative, that, right, we were able to prioritize something, hire more students. We hired students on the grant, build a partnership across campus with film and media studies. So yes, that is a way that we are creative. And the application, if I could just do my work, I would be much more effective than having to look, research, put together a grant proposal, find a partner, usually find a faculty partner because staff for some reason aren't eligible just to apply to grants without a faculty member, right? And so I'm clearly, I hope, willing to be creative, right? I've been creative in lots of ways in my 1 year in this role. And I would like to be able to take the time that I use and the energy and the resources that I use and actually spend time with students and spend that money on students and just be more efficient with time. Again, seeing the impact and the value of time and the return on time.
Just have one more question for clarification. So in terms of like how I'm understanding scenarios, the scenario where we do increase the FTDP would allow the FTD to provide a lot more services, especially in terms of the trans closet and devoted staff hours to the trans student population. But a decrease of the fee would eliminate providing the program, make the trans closet less accessible, and create other issues where you might have to be more creative with funds than you should need to be.
That would be accurate.
Right, thank you so much, Ash. You have a question?
Thank you.
Exact same way last year before the constitutional changes. More or less, yeah. Yeah, I don't remember getting 69,000 for that program.
Hey Holly, can you let LSS in? Can you let LSS in? Thank you.
Hey Camden, can you let my other user name into the Zoom
Yeah.
so I can?
Sorry, I heard the audio will never.
That's okay. Thank you.
Should be in? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect.
See you later.
And then Camden, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Oh, not the big screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I will. You guys have a presentation, like a PowerPoint?
Yeah,
You do? Okay. Is it in the SharePoint?
no,
Okay.
so Vander has it on his laptop.
Could
You
you?
should be here in just.
Okay, he'll have to email that to me.
And, so,
I'm sitting there. I'm like
okay,
wearing a lot of hats. Appreciate it.
I was thinking, because there's three of us.
Yeah, no, totally. We can pull up chairs and then we have the stand microphone and this microphone as well. You guys can get down.
So,
Didn't use my laptop or?
You have to email the presentation to me.
Okay,
Sorry.
where's my?
This is-
Yep.
Joe, if you want to drop it into the required campus fee file, we can open it from there.
You can put it in the SharePoint as well.
Okay. Let me.
I don't know if Vander has that access.
We should. Casey, does Vander have access to the SharePoint? Do you recall?
Let me look. Give me 2 seconds here. Is Vander part of
He was previously, he resigned
he? Oh, he resigned.
from the Fear Review Committee, yes. So-
No, he does not have access then,
Okay, can you just email it to me then at
I'm gonna go through it now.
camden.baxter@kra.edu?
unless he had access in LSS's. Let me look here. No, no access.
Okay, we'll do email then.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, no. Okay, thank you.
You guys will get your full time, don't worry about it.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine.
It's came from more.
I get it.
I didn't have to.
Oh, where are you? Okay, Okay, so yes, certainly little got the customers in the room, even though they're little bars, once they, they're not. Over there, and then.
I mean, that's.
Yes.
In Centennial. When you get off the elevator.
Tell them to just follow the signs, yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, great, thanks, bye.
Family, can you see if you can open it?
I haven't received the email yet, Vander. It's loading. No,
Yeah, yeah.
it takes a second sometimes.
Okay.
It's in the
It's
pipes.
on the app.
Yeah, it's bouncing off of Microsoft servers in Seattle as we speak.
Hopefully it doesn't go to the tiny room.
That'd be a problem.
Yeah, so I want to be on.
I was scared.
That's funny.
If it's easier, I can give him temporary access.
Last time we did that, the email came through right as we figured it out.
Okay. What is Bander's last name?
ALMHAMMADI.
Got it.
That's what.
So it's long name.
Hamadi.
Yeah.
Okay, you can drop it into the LSS folder now. Under the fee library, go to the legal services folder.
I just emailed to Camden.
It could be too large to go through his
That's
email.
Okay, let's just do the SharePoint then, Vander.
What?
So Bander, go into the fee library, not the student senate one. Go to the fee library. To the one that says legal services.
SharePoint. I don't know. If my SharePoint.
It's SharePoint guys.
Oh, okay.
Kansas.sharepoint.com, sorry.
Access, okay.
Kansas.sharepoint.com, yes. Watch, I'll check and we have probably gotten the email.
Yeah.
Yeah, the email just came through, Bander. We're good.
Or
This always happens.
I don't know. Long time.
That is weird, yeah.
Camden, will you just, whenever you're done, make sure to download those into the SharePoint if you haven't already.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
Not right now, just later.
Yeah, later.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay. Thank you for your patience, everybody. I've heard an interruption. It's our last hearing of the day. We'll be done soon, I promise. This is legal services for students. We have a few members joining us today. How many will you have presenting? Three? One on the way? Or is Jen one of them? Okay, got one on the way. Would you like to wait for him to start or? No, that's fine.
He said when I just got off the phone, he said I'll be there in 4 minutes. So I told him to park it there.
Okay, that's all good.
And that might be him parking right now. So, yeah.
Sorry. So the way we'll do this is we'll have one person at the podium manning the slideshow. And they'll just click through it on the trackpad and then we'll have two sitting or standing over here with this microphone. So
Okay.
Okay.
Hello. Okay, so we're waiting for our other presenter, Kevin Wycliffe, who is our new staff attorney at Legal Services for Students, who's also a member of the Student Senate Rights Committee. So some of you may know him already, but it's not his fault that he's late because I kind of said at last minute, I go, do you want to come? And he goes, yeah, sure, why not? So I said, great. Anyway, I'm Jo Hardesty, and I'm the director and managing attorney at Legal Services for Students. And this is Bander Amohamadi, who is our former board chair and former legal intern at Legal Services for Students. So he is now a practicing attorney with a law firm, and he has agreed to come back. He's also a student senator, right? And member of the
Yes.
Rights Committee. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you give us just a minute, one thing I just wanted to point out, since we're waiting for Kevin, you each should have a little envelope with the packet in there. The stuff that we have in the packet is what we give out at orientation. So especially like the most recent one we did was for international student orientation. Each student got the little packet. So they got the brochure, they got a bookmark, they got a magnet, a pen, and they didn't get candy. I just brought candy for you guys. So, because I knew it was toward the end. Come on up, Kevin. So this is Kevin Wycliffe. He is our new staff attorney here at Legal Services. So anyway, so do you want to be the one up here, Vander, doing this? Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
That's the selection button in the bottom right. Go.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's a new version of
This one.
PowerPoint. We got, okay. And then I believe,
You just go to.
yeah, you'll use click on the trackpad.
Does this,
You can't go back, only forward. Just heads up.
On just forward? Okay.
Yes,
what happens if you want to go back?
you'll have to press escape and then go back to the original menu. So it's not the end of the world. Figured I'd let you know.
Let me just go back now then.
Okay. wanna
Just
be on
click, yeah.
that one? Is it a touch screen?
No, it's not.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
checking.
Yep. There you
Yeah,
go.
okay,
Yeah, you're at the beginning. Or just.
go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. As Joe said, I am Bana Al Muhammadi. I am a former legal intern with them and former chair of the advisory board for the legal services for students. And I'm still senator. I'm still stick with KU. I'm not gonna go forever. So, and yeah, today we're gonna go through what we did last year, and then you're gonna see everything in the slides, and we're gonna talk something about what we did, and Joe and I will talk about everything that we did in the last year, and then if you have any question by the end of this presentation, we'd be happy to answer any question for you guys. And we are so happy to be here today in front of you guys, so I'm so excited to talk to you about what we did last year, because we've done a lot of things for students. And I'm so excited students are satisfied about our services with Legal Center for Services for Students. So, and I'm gonna tell you now what we did. So, the first slides, as you can see, we provide a variety of legal services for students. We don't, it's kind of general practitioner when we have everything in one office, which is fantastic to have everything in one office, because people sometimes they need something, but they don't recognize what we have until they have something which have problems. So we provide a 3,528 last year. And also for the tax filing, one of the primary things that we do for students, help the students to file their taxes. As you know, the taxes season just began January 28th. So it will be continuing until April 15th or 18th. 18. So this kind of hectic season for us. So we're gonna have a lot of workshops for the students. So last year we did 36 workshops, which is a lot during the spring semester. And then we have 957 students attended the workshops, and 1,019 people used our free software. Basically, we used so for this tax season, many people use different program. We use Tax Layers, and we use Spring Tax for this international students, and also Glacier software. So we use all the programs to help students file their taxes online. So they don't have to go to the traditional way. In the past, they have to fill everything in paper. Now everything online with the software. So, and the free tax preparation software that can be used by anyone and easily accessible on LSS website. So we also have 483 legal documents notarized. We have free notary. We always tell people come over to our office. We notarize everything for free. You don't have to go to UPS or any offices. They have to pay for it. So we do that for free. So, and also, as you can see, the number 206 and 944,000 people follow us on social media. Second slide, we have, as you can see, the cases. We have, as I said, variety of legal services. So landlord tenant 25%, taxes 30%, estate planning 1%. Some people said, what is estate planning? It wills, trust, people sometimes they need to draft their wills and they're wondering about the wills and trusts. So it's kind of difficult things of legal services, but we provide this for students. And we had many students ask about wills because their parents are asking what we have to provide for the wills. And criminal 16%, immigration 10%, and family law, which is 10, practicing family law 4%, and name change. But we have this service new. We didn't have this in the past. We add the services when last year, when we have the services.
Well, we've done name change. It's been the gender marker change.
Okay.
We've added.
Okay, yeah, 2%. So, and so 3,528 students. Yeah, and we have 68, as you can see in the slides, per week, which is a lot of students we have in the office within a week. 68 students. So you see an average of 100 phone calls. So you can imagine a lot of people called us, email us about the legal rights, or they have problems, they have questions. So we receive that per week. So, and as you can see, the COVID continuing to have significant impact on the people, I mean, in our lives. 110% of the tax cases being passed here, filing delayed by the pandemic. So the impact of the economic consequences of the pandemic expected to fed for the next 10 to 15 years ahead of us. Resolving financial issue is critical to students' retention and success. 26% increase in financial legal issue, including debt, credit, collection, employment. 10.6% increase in landlord-tenant cases. In the pandemic time, we had a lot of cases about landlord-tenant because people at that time did not pay the rent, and then the landlord tried to evict them. So as you know, a lot of people have problem with landlord-tenant because the pandemic hit them so badly. So 50% increase in name changer, maker change cases. The criminal matters, which had previously declined due to pandemic-related restrictions, have rebounded. 91% increase in criminal issues.
Yeah, I think part of that is because the local police were not controlling the bars as much during the pandemic, and also we're not out and about as much. But in the last year, that's changed. So lots more criminal cases and traffic.
Yes, yeah. So also, as you can see here, who our clients and who our audience and our services, the staff 2.7%, freshman 13.4%, sophomore 14%, junior 15.4%, senior 17.5%, graduate 37%. So student populations would benefit from from our services: veterans, first generation students, students with disabilities, international students, athletic athletes, anyway, non-traditional students. Collaboration with department and offices. We collaborate with many offices on campus and also off campus. So as you can see, Student Veterans Center and ROTC, Students Money Management and KU Payroll, International Support Services Affairs, Student Housing, Law School, Business School, Student Account and Receivables, KU Athletics, Kansas and Virginians. And also, we did something last year. We reached out to the police department in Lawrence and also KU police office here, public office and on campus. We give them some of booklets and sort of brochures. We told them, if you guys pull over any KU students, please give him the brochure, the booklets, because they have a right to have legal services. Since we have the services, please give it to them. And they're so kind to me. They say, yeah, absolutely, we're gonna do it. Please, guys, give us whatever that you have. I gave them some booklets and brochures. They like the idea, and then we're gonna continue to do that for them. So we're gonna give them many brochures to give it to the students once they pulled over by the police officer, and they tell them, hey, this is the services that KU provide for you. If you need any legal help, with any, traffic things or any matter that students could be facing if they get pulled over by the police officer. So, and also one more thing. Also, we reached out to KU Medical Center in Kansas City during the tax season, and also we provide some brochures to them to tell them what we provide for them. Advertising. So advertising, we did mini advertising last year. We did T-shirts campaign, basketball posters. Basically, you guys are welcome to stop by in our office. Oh, you bring something. Okay. It looks like that one. If you guys need one, just stop by and then happy to give you one. So yeah, you want to say something about it or?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, we have these at our office still, so if somebody wants one, like Brenda said, come by.
Yeah.
And there's the T-shirt.
Yeah, T-shirt. Yeah, this is the T-shirt.
The T-shirt campaign was something that we started several years ago. We used the Fighting Jayhawk because on the back, it says we're fighting for student rights. And also, when people come to our office, we give them a T-shirt and they wear it, and it's like advertisement for us. So, plus it gets them into the office and see where we're located. Our office is in 2030 Bird Union, which is the mezzanine on the west end of the Bird Union.
Yeah. So, and also with the bus advertising, we gave transportation department our brochures and our posters. They put them in the top. If you get in the KU bus, you find our posters in the top of the buses. And also, we did some kind of events with SUA in the union to do some kind of activities with them. Reach out to the students, tell them about our services. The targeting new students and graduate students orientation. So we did presentation with the student or international student orientation last time. And then the international office reached out to the students and asked them about their opinions. And they did like a kind of survey. The students told them one of the most beneficial and helpful presentation was the LSS presentation. We would be happy to provide some information to them. They liked it. We're going to continue to do it. LSS has been doing this for a while. Every orientation LSS does kind of orientation for the students, tell them what we have, what we offer for the students, just let them know what we do for them. So we're going to continue to do that every orientation for the students, domestic and international. And student organization, specific topic, email distribution. Sometimes we send a mass email to all students, tell them what we have in our office, just let students know what we do for them. So as I said, we provide many services, notary public services, international tax assistance for international staff via IRS grant. So we have grant from IRS to help students file their taxes. As I said, we use TaxSlayer. We have grant for that one. So help the students and staff as well to file their taxes with that program. And online and free link to tax prep software via IRS grant. Okay, so for the interns, we have last year we had 8 interns. Basically, the idea of the internship to have students to help students and also get the knowledge and experience. The knowledge they have at LSS will benefit them in the future. I'll give you, I don't like to talk about myself, but I'm just kind of an example now. I benefited a lot from the LSS. Now I'm practicing in Topeka with one law firm there, but I really benefited from the office. The office prepared me to be very prepared for the market. Practicing now one of the office in Topeka, which is I'm so beholden to Joe and all the stuff in LSS because they taught me a lot how to be a lawyer. So I'm so beholden to LSS office for everything they provided to me. The idea of the internship just prepare students to be able to work once they graduate from KU. And also, as I said, help other students, because once you have the students help other students, that would be good and be beneficial and helpful for the students to provide what they need to provide. So, and like I said, provide real world experience, interbid well to assist with the cost of school, and also help the students to pay for the school. If you would like to talk about that, Joe, about you guys have something for the students to pay for the cost the tuition or something, for the intern, or they pay, I think, you guys provide $7 per month, and then $3 comes from the federal
I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. You're talking about work study.
work study.
If some of our interns are on work study, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with that. If you are on work study, then the student receives whatever the hourly wage is. But we get money from the federal government that pays for 75% of that hourly wage. And then the LSS budget then only pays for 25%, which is great. So, you know, if you were paying somebody $10 an hour, out of our budget is $250, and the federal money is $750. So it's a great deal when students are eligible for work study.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Thanks, Joe. Okay, so, 44 anniversary. We celebrated 44th anniversary for the office, which is fantastic that the office has been existing for 44 years. Honestly, I reached out to some university in the area, they don't have the same office. I reached out to some university in Kansas City and some university outside, they don't have the same office. I told them, do you guys have legal service? And they said, no. So, okay, we're lucky to have it at KU. So, and 44th anniversary, it's fantastic that we have this office for this amount of time, which is nice. And to have people like Joe and Kevin and also other attorneys, they're dedicating their time and effort to helping students with their legal needs.
Just a second, Bender.
Yeah.
See the screen. Hey, Casey, can you see our screen?
It's paused. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay, sorry.
No, that's not on you. That's,
And
I'm gonna stop the share and then go back.
okay,
Sorry.
no worries.
Okay, Casey, are you in the meeting still? Okay, well, she should be able to see the live stream on the side. Okay, go ahead. So sorry.
Oh, no, fine. That's fine. So LSS is only 30% of the entire campus fee, 14, as you can see, 0.90 cents. So we used to have 15, but last year the student senate decided to decrease the amount of the fees to 14.90. Hopefully the student senate reconsider again to go back to the 15, because we need this fees to continue to provide the services in efficient and a productive way. So 10% of the population needs an attorney for pressing and detrimental issues at any given time. Students would be foregoing legal assistance without LSS. Local attorney fees cost $20, $50 to $30, $350 hours. So I can tell you my hourly now $340. So it's so expensive for the attorney if you go outside to hire an attorney. So this is kind of the range of the attorney. And if you go with a more experienced attorney, the hour for the attorney about 600, 700. So expensive if you would love to go with more experienced attorney. So expensive to have an attorney outside. So this is a range between $250, $350 an hour. Attorney do not take the types of cases LSS sees. On average, LSS saves students of over 1 million a year. So basically, we kind of did some calculation. This is kind of the money that we could save for the students. And also, we use one of the comprehensive program for communication with the students. It's called CLIO. I don't know if you want to talk about CLIO, Joe. So the CLIO is kind of communication between the attorneys and the students. Keep all the information confidential, and the communication would be in an efficient way, so the students will be able to see what's going on about their cases, and also the communication would be more efficient with the students once we are using CLIO. So I don't know if you would like to talk about CLIO, Joe, or
CLIO is a online cloud-based case management system. So our most law offices historically are paper-based, and we have tried to transition. We were planning on transitioning before the pandemic, but the pandemic pushed us into a more paperless system. So it's been great, and what we've done, what Vander mentioned, is there's a portal system that we use to communicate with clients. So we just have a portal, like, there's no emailing back and forth, so students don't have to worry about email being intercepted, or it just comes directly into the portal, they sign in, it comes right to us, and we can email things back and forth, very confidential.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I think Watkins might use portal also, communicate, so similar in that way.
Yeah.
And it's saved us money. I went to the Clio conference several years ago in 2019, and basically said, hey, we hire all these students that work for us. Don't you think you could give us Clio for free? And that way the students, the law students, are using it, and then when they get out, they're gonna want to use it when they get out. So I convinced them that the company should let us have it for free.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would cost seriously thousands of dollars a month, because it's based on the number of staff you have in your office. So that has really saved us tremendously. The one thing also I wanted to point out, and I don't want to gab too long because I want Kevin to be able to talk, is when it says attorneys do not take the types of cases LSSD, what that means is we might have a student come into us who has a dispute with someone, and let's say the dispute is like $500. You know, they have a dispute with someone over $500, and it could be your ex-roommate didn't pay you or something like that, whatever. If you go to a private attorney, just because of the attorney's fees, the private attorney is going to be like, hey, for me to write a letter even to the adverse party on your behalf is going to cost you like $200, $300. So right there, that eats into your $500 dispute. So a lot of attorneys will say, sorry, we're not going to help you because it's not worth it to the attorney or to the client to do that. So that's why it's nice that students have this opportunity to use our service.
Yeah, nice, yep. Why it didn't go, Camden? Try. I think that would be, yeah.
Yeah. I think. No, go on. This next. slide.
Yeah, so I want to mention one more point. So recently we had a wonderful attorney, Kevin. He is with us today. So he has a lot of experience, and he's so excited to bring his experience and skills to help students at KU. So I'm gonna give him a chance to talk. If he wants to say anything, Kevin.
Hi, my name's Kevin Wycliffe.
You can use the mic or. Yeah.
My name's Kevin Wycliffe. I'm one of the attorneys at KU. I'm a graduate in business, MBA and JD from KU. And I actually worked here. It was my first job out of law school. Worked in financial services industry and investment advisory for 20 years. And met with Joe, I think like last year. We took a tour, and it's kind of really impressive what's going on. But when I started working, I was just blown away with the differences. The expertise that legal services has now from what it had when I first worked. One of our attorneys, Bill Lazzarello, has decades of experience in landlords, and Adam Mansfield, that may be one of the best attorneys with maybe student education, especially like foreign students, probably in the area. And I hope to bring that down sophisticated contracts, 501c3s to bring that to legal services. One of the areas that wasn't on the list that we're starting to get into is a lot of student organizations. So I want to do like tax exempt stuff and trying to use tax exemptions that they really don't have. And so we're working with general counsel. And so that's an area I hope to take on. And Vander talked about some of the expenses that they're saving. Being in the private industry, some of it runs from $500 to $1,000 an hour for some of the stuff. And I think another thing that he mentioned with the police that I've learned that I think is a really good system is there's a system with the legal services, with the police, with the prosecutor's office, and with the court, where they work together to help students. I think kind of the philosophy is that, yes, the kids may have, or the students may have made a mistake, And they should face some punishment that they don't want to ruin their lives. And so, they don't have to pay legal fees. They can come to us. We work with the prosecutors. The prosecutor tells us we want them to, we don't want to punish them. We want to help them. And so the system, I think, has been tremendous for the students. And I think it's something that I hope people are taking. I hope they don't get in that situation. If they do, I hope they come here because it's an opportunity to provide to I'm really happy to be here. I think legal services are like the gym. I don't think enough of the students really understand what they have. It's free. So unless you have any questions, that's all I have.
Well, so much.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a questioning period now. It's gonna be a question of everyone's time. We're only scheduled for 6:15, so we'll say until 6:25, you guys can stay, and you can say as long as we need to after that question. What do we have? I'll go first. I'm looking at your simulation files here, and I'm seeing a roughly $200,000 increase in the total expenses based, relative to the last fiscal year. If you all get some light on what that is.
Did you say an increase in expenses?
Yes, that's $200,000.
Oh, yeah, so part of that comes from the fact that so last year, one of the things that when we went to the review, we were told they wanted us to increase staff salaries and to diversify the staff. And what we did was we took a look at staff salaries and we did make some increases. And thank you to student affairs for approving those. And so that takes some of that money that we're talking about. The other amount, and I may have mentioned this, yeah, down below when you look at the simulation, you can see the narrative in the little box down below. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
General
Okay.
notes, comments.
Yep, general notes. So we hire students to work for us, law students and business school students. And we realize that students' time is very valuable. And this year, we just have not had the interest from students wanting to work for us for 11, 15 hours. They're just like, hey, I can drive Uber or, DoorDash and make more money than that. And so we increased our hourly rate to $13 to $16 an hour, depending on experience. And I recently just hired, in fact, the last one, I accepted the offer yesterday. We hired 11 new students to work in our office, and they're going to be helping with the tax program that we have this spring. So that Casey and I worked together on increasing. So our expenses in student hourly went way up. You can see it went from 15,000 to 71,000. And part of that is because we're paying the student hourly rates more, and we hired more students so that we can help more students. So basically, our interns allow us to help more KU student clients. So we only have a staff of whatever, 5 of us, right? But with these additional, now I'll have 12, 13 students who will be working 10 to 20 hours a week helping other students. So.
What other questions are there? Farzad?
Farzad, he's the new chair.
Just to disclose, I shared the advisory committee for LSS. So I was taking a look at your guys' general. Is Kevin one of the 2 employees that you guys are missing and have now replaced? And is there still one unopened position?
That's a good question. There still is an open position. During the pandemic, we lost 2 attorneys. One was stolen away to general counsel's office, with the big dollars, we pulled him away. And then the other attorney was a part-time position and he retired. So over the last several years, we have had a couple of different attorneys in that halftime role. It's really hard to find somebody who wants to work half-time, but we still do have that halftime position open. And we have a plan to fix that, and I really can't divulge a lot of personnel issues, but we will be hiring another attorney in the near future.
Follow-up question? Sure. So, is there a demonstrative for that other halftime position that the current staff is not, let's say, being able to meet in terms of workload that you're seeing on a weekly basis? That's like 100 to 500 phone calls being handled. Is there anything that's going under the radar as a result of not having that other halftime position? And is it accounted for in the budget that you're receiving to have that position going?
It is accounted for in the budget to have that halftime position filled. I think I go back to something that Kevin said. The opportunity for what we can do for students is huge. And with like Kevin's expertise working with student orgs, we could just do so much more and provide so much more help. And I think anybody who's involved in the student organization world knows that is really important, because student organizations need legal advice. They have events, they want to have tax exempt status, they want to protect themselves, contracts, liability, they want to hire people. So we have worked with University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and also North Carolina State. And those two schools do a lot more with student orgs, and that's something that we would like to expand upon. So it's kind of like you said, well, is there that need? We do see that need out there. And, you know, the more staff we have, the more we can do. I think it's a great opportunity.
I have a question, Karen.
Sure.
But I mean, just for that, how many students we have now on campus? 25,000? Okay, do you think 27,000, 3 attendance or 4 attendance will be enough for all of them? Okay,
Well,
yeah,
I think
that's the
the
question.
student part of that question though, is as it currently stands, are there students that you're turning away, students that you're not, you have to tell them like, hey, sorry, we can't take the place due to a lack of staffing, that this halftime position is expected to go?
I'm not. We don't turn away anybody, but I think what happens is a lot of these things, for example, if you have something to do with the court, you have to have it done within a certain amount of time. And tax seasons, timely too. We had a lot of, especially like the scholarships. You get information on your scholarships for your student educational fund. You get, it's to 98 that you get information on, but it's always corrected because they don't work on the school year. And so we get a lot of amendments, like in June. We had amendments that were stretching from June to August. Because we just couldn't get, I mean, we served the people, but we couldn't get them in time. Okay, let's see.
Thanks.
I will take a follow-up comment with regards to that. So something I do want to clarify is that in addition to the work that you do for students, undergraduates, who access the local year services, LSS, even if it's working at point of service capacity, we also work in extended capacities as well. We maintain ongoing client relationships with regards to thinking about immigration. I've been working about LSS services, many areas of immigration, because of someone who was there for me consistently, who wasn't, you didn't have to, I didn't have to wait for that, especially in the context of, reduced border control personnel, and that was something that was very grateful to LSS for being there. And we'll also see something like that.
Anything else? Okay, I apologize if this is listed somewhere else, but I just kind of wanted to clarify, what was the initial fee asked for LSS? Because just looking at like proposed scenario A, it's like it's keeping it flat, but running a deficit at the end of the year, after reserve and all that. So I was just curious, I heard it mentioned during the presentation, a potential 10-cent increase back to 15. Is that the official ask or not?
No, actually, so the official ask is to keep it flat.
I was hoping. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no decrease.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can see what we're doing is exactly what, we were kind of told to do. You need to be spending into your reserve account. And that's what we're planning to do. And you can see, yeah, there will be a deficit at some point. So it's not like our office can continue on and on. So that is something to look at in the future that we probably will need an increase. Our fee used to be $16 a semester. It dropped to 15, and now last year $14.90. So, but I would like to point out our reserve account. Some people go, "Wow, how did you get all that money?" Well, we're very fiscally responsible. Okay, we're attorneys, and during the pandemic, a lot of our expenses went way down. We didn't have people at the office; they were at home working. We weren't buying paper; we were doing everything remotely and paperless. And so we weren't giving out stuff like this. We weren't giving out shirts. We weren't giving out magnets, all that stuff. So we were saving a lot of money. The photocopier, we were barely using it. Nobody was there. So there's a lot of ways we save money. In addition, I really do try when after I hire my students, I'll just ask anybody, hey, if you are eligible for work study, talk to financial aid because that can really help our budget. I don't hire based on whether somebody's work study eligible. It's only after I've hired them. And most students are like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So we've been able to, last year or the year before, of my 5 interns, 4 were on work study, which was such a huge savings to our budget. The other thing is that Vander mentioned, we do have a small IRS grant, which is a lot of work. A lot of work for not a lot of money. What it is the IRS provides us free software and a little bit of money to help promote tax education. Their idea is the IRS wants to help low-income taxpayers, which pretty much is every KU student. And in our case, we have 2 target populations. One is international students, and the other is low income. So we've got everybody covered, and they give us some money for that, and that helps out our budget also. So if you're curious, how do you get this money? It's from saving. So
Thank you. Well, we are officially 15 minutes past our time. That's all we have time for today. Thank you so much, Cosmo.
I would like to say, if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Vander or Kevin. We'd be happy to answer.
Of course.
We'd be happy to answer anything you.
Thanks, Ken, for the help.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, a few things before everyone leaves. Ethan, can you go talk with Madison? Can you get Ethan's information to Casey, please? For the SharePoint and everything. I'm doing this again. I don't, what time do the hearings start tomorrow? Is it 3:30 again? Okay. 3 to 7. Okay, tomorrow is a long day. Please go home, take care of yourselves, work out, eat, sleep. We'll get through this. I know it's hard, but thank you so much for your patience and your attention and your timeliness today. This is seriously so fun, even when it's not. So I just want to say I'm so grateful I get to work with you all. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Please do not hesitate to let me know if you need anything. That's what I'm here for. Furthermore, on the SharePoint, I will be posting my notes as well as several of the PowerPoint slides that were sent to me via email for the various fee entities. So all the information that I'm going to be making decisions based on will also be available to you. That's all I have. Thank you again so much for coming in. I'll see you tomorrow.
You're gonna do this for the whole week?
Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Casey, you there?
Yep, I am.
Thank you. You're too kind. Appreciate it. You know what they say, man, there ain't no rest for the wicked. That's why I'm out here all the time. Okay, do I have permission to update the SharePoint? Like, can I add PowerPoint slides?
I don't think you can. You can email them to me and I can upload them.
Okay, I'm gonna email a few documents to you. I have a list of the note situation's been a little bit complicated here since we've been using my laptop for most of the presentations. I have to compile some stuff in a Word document, but I'll email that to you.
Sure.
As well as the PowerPoint slides that I'll just forward those emails to you. Once that I got it. That's
Yeah.
just so that everybody who wasn't here will have access to my notes, to my minutes. I'm gonna get Ethan trained either tonight or tomorrow morning. Have you been kept in the loop on that situation?
No.
Yeah, so there was concerns raised about the committee members eligibility.
Okay,
for membership.
pause. Second, do you want to end your YouTube live?
Yeah, that's probably a good call. Let me do that now. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I'll be honest, I completely